Hey, my name's Phil. I'm just a normal guy living my boring teenage life. Some call me a nerd. Well, yeah, I am a straight A student. I don't have many friends, probably because they're jealous of my grades, but that's it. I'm far from a nerd. I think I'm pretty cool, and I look okay, and I'm funny. If not, then the coolest kids in school wouldn't have invited me to their party, right? I guess every school has a group of popular rich kids. At my school, there was a group of 4 cool guys: Dylan, Mark, Jared, and Nick. They always have the latest iPhones, the best cars, and all the girls look at them with heart eyes. It started with Dylan. He was in the same Spanish class as me, and his grades were pretty bad. One day after class, he walked over to me and asked me to do his homework. In return, he would give me a ride home in his cool car. I agreed. The homework was a piece of cake anyway. That day, I got to sit in such a nice car for the first time ever. I enjoyed the ride as much as the admiration from all the girls as we drove away from the campus. Dylan got a good grade on his homework, so he told his friends. And they asked me to do their homework too. In exchange, I got to hang out with them. I didn't mind being a nobody at school, and I did have friends, but I couldn't deny that it was fun to hang out with the cool kids. I even got invited over to Mark's massive 3-story home. Mark is like the alpha. They always met up at his house, probably because his place was so amazing. He had a pool, gym, cinema, and a games room. Mark always ordered loads of pizza, and he never made me pay for it. Life was pretty amazing. I got to have a taste of the rich life. I knew I was still the outsider. Sometimes I'd walk into the room and they'd all fall silent. This made me feel a bit awkward, but I didn't think all that much of it. I was the new guy to their group. I guess they just needed a little time to get to know me properly. One day, this new kid at school called Kyle asked me to be his partner for a science project. He seemed a bit awkward. He was this big guy with an outdated style. His t-shirt was always tucked into baggy jeans. Hey, I know I'm not the most fashionable guy at school, but even I know this isn't a good look. Kyle didn't talk much about his family. I only knew that his parents were strict and didn't allow friends at home. He never even waited for me to walk to the bus station together. He just disappeared after school. Strange kid. But we both liked classic rock, which none of the other kids could relate to, so we clicked really fast. Meanwhile, I still hung out often with the cool kid squad. I also asked Kyle if he would like to join us, but he awkwardly refused. I presumed he didn't think he was cool enough. He did seem very interested in them, though, and asked me loads of questions. Every time I told him about what fun stuff I did with the squad, he seemed to brighten up and he asked me to tell him more. Poor guy. So I hung out with the cool kids more and bragged about everything to Kyle. Where we went, how they sometimes have red eyes and suffer mood swings, how I can never stay at Mark's place past 9 p.m. as they always have to do something, or about their continuous phone calls that they say are for sports betting and how they make me calculate and take notes for it. I really sounded like I was so close with them, and I was pretty proud of this fact. One time I was at Mark's and I walked back from the restroom to overhear them talking about throwing a big party at a club downtown the night after. "Oh, a party?" I asked. They looked a bit off, but then Mark stuttered, Yeah, you can come too." I was so excited. It'd be my first party ever. I might finally be able to find a girlfriend there. I rushed home to find my most fly outfit while I called Kyle to brag about it. Kyle didn't sound too excited for me. Instead, he was Mr. Serious, which was such a buzzkill. I put his attitude down to jealousy, but this kinda bugged me. It wasn't my fault he was shy and awkward. Now, let's talk about the club party. It was at this really trendy venue with an indoor pool, a diamond-encrusted bar, and there were beautiful women walking around in tiny bikinis. I was chilling in the VIP lounge with the boys, an exotic-looking cocktail in hand. This was the life. Out of nowhere, there was a loud bang as the cops suddenly burst in with guns. They told me to put our hands on our heads. I was terrified. I had no idea what was going on. I was shut in an interrogation room at the police station. I panicked. Was I in big trouble, even though I had no idea what I was in big trouble for? Then, Kyle entered the room, only he was wearing a police uniform. I stared at him in confusion and he just gave me an awkward look. Turns out Kyle wasn't actually called Kyle, and he wasn't a high school student. Instead, he was an undercover cop. I felt betrayed. Was he using me all this time? Did he frame me to arrest me? Was our friendship all fake? Then he told me that the 4 cool kids are actually related to a gang and are part of a drug trafficking chain. He went undercover to find the evidence he needed to arrest them once and for all. It turns out all my information had helped him do just that. He knew I was a good guy and didn't know anything about it, so he tried to pull me out of this ASAP before I sank deeper into it. I was free to go. He then introduced himself for real this time. His name was Sam. He was 24, and he was married with a daughter. I'm still friends with Sam, and even drop by his house now and again to play video games and listen to classic rock tunes. It does worry me that I unknowingly got the cool kids into deep trouble. Sometimes I wake up in the night and freak out that their families will come and punish me for what happened. Sam says I will be fine, as nothing is traceable to me. I still can't quite believe that hanging out with the cool kids ended the way it did. It's safe to say that I won't be agreeing to do anyone else's homework again. Although I may make an exception if a cute girl asks me. I do miss certain aspects about hanging out with the cool kids, such as the nice cars and their lavish homes, but I guess I'm okay with just being me.
Augustine and I almost took down this fake Roblox plushie smuggling empire when the gang leader suddenly turned vigilant and ordered his members to arm lock us. Pablo, you got it all wrong. We're here to make a business deal. You don't fool me, you sneaky little rats. Think you can catch me? I am invincible! Mwahaha! Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Pizza's here. Please take your order. Did any of you morons order pizza? Sorry, boss. I did. I was starving. Please could I have a bite quickly before executing these snakes? Go get the door, you dumbo. You, hands over your head. Pablo then came, hide behind the door as it opened, and standing there was Jane. Hi, lunchtime. Jane then pulled up her skirt slowly, revealing her stocking. While the gang were dumbfounded, Augustine quickly restrained the gang member, while Jane slammed the door onto Pablo. And me? I stomped onto the guy's foot, elbowed him in the face, and pinned him on the ground. Phew, all hail Queen Jane. Hi, my name is Naomi, a special agent, and these are my partners, Augustine and Jane. With Augustine as leader, we 3 have successfully cracked the hardest cases, including this one. Augustine is such a respectable senior agent to me, while Jane is actually my annoying stepsister/partner. It's your turn to write Pablo's case report. Don't push it onto me. Why do you always try to get away with tasks? Just like how you made me do all the dishes at home all the time, too. Team, we got a new case. Amy, straight A student. Lawrence High's representative to the upcoming United Nations event. Missing since Monday. Urgent request from parents and the school to bring the subject back safely. Suspect number 1, Shirley, direct competitor for the school representative title. A mean girl in disguise. So, starting tomorrow, we'll be students at Lawrence High to investigate it. Can I join the girl posse and befriend Shirley? Nothing helps spilling the tea easier than blending in with the gossip girls. Okay, but we also got Diane, Amy's stepsister. Quiet and shy. Parents are freaking out and asking her to be watched 24/7 too. Jane, what do you think? I can approach Diane and keep an eye on her. Great. Remember, team, do not act by yourself under any circumstance. Lawrence High, I'm coming for you. On the first day of school with my excellent disguise, I confidently strode to the classroom. My mean girl covers quickly got everyone's attention, including this guy. Hey cutie, let me show you around, and you could show me the way to your heart. Marco, Lawrence High's jock with a notoriously long list of ex-girlfriends. Meanwhile, Augustine's also taking a good chunk of the ladies' hearts, including Shirley's, my target. So, I purposely walked past her, showcasing my $200,000 Hermes bag, and... Hey you! Yes, take the bait, fishies. You seem to have a sensible fashion style. Want to join our group? Sure, I'm Naomi. Right then, Jane passed by. In the shy, nerdy girl covers, of course. Hold on for a second, rookie. Did you borrow your granny's dress for school? Right, Naomi? I think... Oh, this hurts my eyes too. Who, in God's name, wears pastel pink in 2023? Shirley and her entourage were cackling, while Jane gave me a hostile look and stormed off. Oh, please. She didn't have to take it so personally. She should thank me for that instead, as now she can naturally be friends with Diane too. Since then, I started hanging around with Shirley and the girls. They love gossiping. Which is indeed pointless. Until the topic of Amy came up. Have guys seen Amy around at all recently? Amy? Who on earth? Amy Hayward, the one competing against you for the school's representative. Oh, that stupid contest. I couldn't care less about it, actually. Thank God it's over. I only joined it because my dad kept insisting. Shirley didn't even remember Amy, nor did she want to compete with her. And now that I've noticed, she's boisterous at times, but actually quite straightforward. My guts are telling me it's not her. So I brought up my concerns about the case at our next meeting. I'm pretty sure Shirley is clear. What? Do you even think before saying? She's our number one suspect. Plus, from what Diane told me, she's always picking on other students. Yeah, but that doesn't mean she has ill intentions towards Amy. You need to stop judging people too quickly. Excuse me? How about you stop siding with the devils? Or you find it hard because you're one too? Enough. Let's just keep your assumptions on hold for now. We need more clues before acting on anything. Dang it. If only I got some solid evidence. Jane just always slowed down the investigation, so the next day I went to find Diane myself to ask some more questions about Amy, but Marco stopped me with, a bunch of roses? Roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so are you. Be my girl, will you? I was still processing this when Augustine came from afar and went straight into the roses. Oops, sorry, I had my sunglasses on. Marco looked like an erupting volcano while Shirley gave an earth-shaking squeal. Eee! Oh, that body and that grace. Oh, great Lord, please spare me. During independent reading, Marco and his army came marching toward Augustine to pick a fight. But Augustine completely ignored Marco, which infuriated him even more. Hey, you! Turn your coconut head around and have some courage to face me. Augustine calmly stood up, returned his book as if Marco was invisible, and came to ask me to have lunch with him? He pulled me out of there, leaving Marco behind, grunting like a mad pig. It feels good living student life and having the boys chasing after you. Stay away from those teenage boys for me, will you? I don't see why. Don't get your identity revealed. Don't worry, and Marco's such a kid, not my type. By the way, you want to experience a heartfelt infatuation too? Think Shirley is laying an eye on you. The look on his face is priceless. Who would have thought this charismatic agent is actually allergic to girls? During PE, I saw Shirley purposefully tripped and fell in the direction of Augustine, but ended up on the floor instead. Augustine then dashed over to me for help when Marco stopped him midway. Still holding grudges with Augustine, Marco announced a dodgeball war. Oh boy, didn't know what he got himself into. Augustine is our top agent. He dodged every single bullet aimed at him, let alone these plain red balls. In return, Augustine gave Marco one hit of a lifetime that knocked him down on the ground. Lucky for him, Diane was nearby and kind enough to give him a hand. Still, Marco gave the biggest grin when he spotted me and headed over to hand me a piece of paper. Will you go out with me? What a loser. He must have taken a new interest in you, Naomi. Rumor had it he asked Amy out, but then she went missing. Probably that poor girl couldn't handle him. Marco met up with Amy before she went missing? Uh-oh, he's our number one suspect now, not Shirley. I eagerly updated Augustine on Marco. I have a feeling Marco knows something about the case that might lead us to Amy. I was thinking I could pretend to go on a date with him. That's too dangerous. What if he's behind it all? You might get into trouble, Naomi. No worries, he seems really into me. He asked Amy out and she went missing right after. Who knows what could happen to you? But he's the only lead we have now. Shirley is already out of the picture and I know how to protect myself if anything happens. Please? And yes! The time has come for me to end this case. During the date, Marco was so caring, but I was dying to know what happened to Amy that day. So, I heard you and Amy were a thing before? Nah, we never got together. How can you be so perfect? Are you an angel? I heard otherwise. Rumors had it you even went out with her. Let's just focus on us, why don't you? But I want to know more about you too. Fine. If you want to know it that bad, I did ask her out, but I never saw her that day. Her sister showed up instead. Sat there at a reserved table and said something about Amy wouldn't be around for a while. I thought they wanted to mess with me, so I just left. Diane knew Amy would disappear even before she went missing? Did Diane have anything to do with this? She might have been the very piece we'd overlooked from the beginning. I got to the office and saw Augustine fidgeting around. Are you okay? Did Marco do anything to you? I'm fine. And I got the biggest news. I then told Augustine and Jane everything and posed my doubts for Diane. Why Diane? She's just a vulnerable victim who gets picked on all the time. And you know by who? Shirley! She might appear vulnerable, but who knows what she's got inside. And you remember how she came to help Marco up that time? Now that I think about it, she was so worried for him. She obviously likes Marco. It's possible she might get jealous of her sister. Oh, stop! Not everyone is a jello like you. What? Team, this is getting nowhere. For now, let's just agree on keeping Diane close. Again, no one is to act by themselves. A jello? Just watch me nail this case before you do, Jane. The next morning, I saw Diane secretly watching Marco play basketball. I swear to God, Diane is definitely into him and involved in her sister's missing. But Augustine wouldn't let me do anything. That'd leave me with the only option, which is to keep Diane's activities on watch. Indeed, she's been acting very strange lately. She received regular phone calls and would get out of class, just to return with a troubled face. I decided to tail her that afternoon. She looked very suspicious and kept turning around to check if anyone was following her. She's definitely hiding something. We were walking for quite some time, passing a vast area of abandoned field crops, until she stopped in front of a shabby house. This is clearly not a building for residency. The whole place looked so torn apart, and even had traps everywhere. Thank God I had all that training back in the academy to spot these deadly traps. Suddenly, I saw a flashing shadow sprinting right across the room. I quickly followed and saw a door leading to the dark basement. Diane, or whoever was staying here, is not going to be simple to deal with. Oh no, it's a trap! If you dare move an inch, you're done. Now tell me, who are you? Are you from the Dixie Mafia trying to get back at me? Mafia? No, you got it wrong. I came to check on the electricity for this building. Please calm down. She's lying again, Mr. Gordon. I knew she was up to no good. Speak now if you want to stay intact. Oh, no. I should have listened to Augustine and not let my stupid adrenaline take over. Is this the end of my mission? The end of my life? Suddenly, there was a loud banging sound. FBI, don't you dare touch her. It's Augustine. FBI? What? No, what's happening? Are you not from the gang? Jane was there for me too. She quickly took the bomb remote and turned it off. Fake bomb, are you kidding? I quickly got out of the trap safely. Special Agent Naomi Cooper, where are you hiding Amy? No, you got it all wrong. Mr. Gordon's Amy's biological father. How can he hurt her? I looked at Augustine and Jane, who were as shocked as I was. Mr. Gordon used to work for the gang, but he turned his life around. That's why he thought you were the old gang coming at him for revenge. Not long ago, he contracted a serious illness that needs a kidney transplant, and Amy is the only relative he's got left. You're telling me Amy agreed to give him a kidney? Then why are you here in the dark? Why hide? Because Amy's mom hated me and forbade me from seeing her, let alone giving me a whole kidney. But Amy is my daughter with a golden heart. Even though I didn't want to, she insisted on giving me a kidney so I could live on. If Mom knew about it, she would never agree. That's why Amy had to run away to have the transplant done with Mr. Gordon. Where is she now? Resting in that room. Don't worry, Mr. Gordon has been taking well care of her. Meanwhile, I helped bring them food and necessities. I quickly kicked the door open and saw Amy lying on the bed. What was all the commotion, Diane? Did you bring Dad some squash? Augustine, Jane, and I saw it through now. We all got it wrong this whole time. The next day, we went to find Amy's mother and had a talk with her. She was shocked at first, but after knowing everything, she realized how wrong it was to separate father and daughter. She was so touched by her daughter's precious heart and agreed to let Amy come visit Mr. Gordon from now on. Looking at the sisters makes me think about my own sis. I'm sorry. We gave each other a tight hug. We are sisters too in the end. Well, case closed. Let's go for some grand celebration, shall we? Actually, I have a date now. Why don't you take Naomi with you? Then she just left us there. Cheeky Jane. I'm so relieved you're okay, Naomi. 'Cause if anything happens to you... Yeah, Augustine? If anything happens, I would die for you.
I can't believe it's been a year since Gerald passed away. I know it's been hard, but on the bright side, at least you still have your 2 wonderful daughters. Thank you. She smiled. Then she rubbed Jamie's head. I'm very proud of this one. Yeah. Jamie's pretty, Jamie's girly, Jamie's adorable. And I was just the other child. I watched on as the 3 of them relaxed on the porch. giggling about dumb stuff and enjoying their lemonade, while I struggled with the stupid lawnmower. They didn't even notice me. I quickly finished up, then I grabbed my skateboard and hurried out of there. Charlotte, stop right there. And where exactly do you think you're going without my permission? Skateboarding. I grumbled, then left. Whatever. She didn't care anyway. She just wanted to suffocate me. It wasn't like this back when I had Dad on my side. As you can see, I'm not a girly girl. All that manicure and makeup stuff just seems like nonsense to me. But my non-identical twin, Jamie, lives for it. She always wakes up extra early just so she has more time to style her hair, apply her makeup, and pick out her daily outfit. Then all she does at school is sit around with the other Barbies and giggle at pretty much everything. But guess that's the kind of girl Mom prefers, as it's blatantly clear that Jamie's her favorite. It's always me who had to do all the chores in the house, just so her Jamie could sit there scrolling through her phone. There was one time when I was washing the dishes, I heard a deafening shriek. No, my sister wasn't being murdered. Instead, there was a spider crawling across the floor. Poof! It was just a spider. Nuts! I didn't want to be a chore slave. I just wanted to skateboard. Yeah, skateboarding and painting are my true passions, but Mom told me skateboarding was for boys. Ugh, how ridiculous. So I often snuck out. There were times I got so into it that I lost track of time and arrived home to Mom's furious eyes. You're grounded. Next time, I won't hesitate in breaking your boards in half. Jeez, that was so unfair. I pushed past her and ran into my room. Then clutching my board, I burst into tears. I wish Dad was still here. Whenever Mom and I argued, he always came up to my room and told me how Mom only acted the way she did because she cares about me. She just has a different way of showing it. It's been a whole year since he passed, all because of a freak accident at the factory he worked in. Now, we all had to rely on Mom's home tailor job, and I just became the errand girl, while Jamie sits around looking pretty. Worse still, Mom insisted I get a part-time job to support the family, while Jamie didn't have to. When I questioned Mom on this, she just said, Jamie isn't like you. She wouldn't be able to handle both school and work. Excuse me, what? But I knew arguing with Mom about it was pointless. Anyways, it all worked out okay, as I landed myself a job in this cool skateboard store. Oh, and also, less house chores. One rainy afternoon, the store was quiet, so I took out my sketchbook and designed some skateboards. Then my manager, Rick, peered over my shoulder. Uh-oh, was I in trouble? But to my surprise, he said, That's pretty good. Then he passed me a flyer for a skateboard designing contest. You should give it a try. This contest was meant to be, so I spent all my free time shut away in my room working on my design. I didn't see Mum or Jamie for a full week. How peaceful. And guess what? I won first prize. It was awesome. However, Mum snatched the prize money from me due to family financial reasons. So my money was going to be used on new clothes and makeup for Jamie. Unbelievable! I didn't want to be under this roof anymore. But at 15, where else could I go? Poof. Then Mum told me her work was slow at the moment, so I should enter more contests to support my family. Hey, it got me out of chores, so I agreed to it. And I pretty much won all of them. But it did annoy me that I didn't get to keep my rewards. Then when I saw Jamie showing off her new shoes, I just wanted to yank them off her feet and throw them at her. Ugh! I thought twins were meant to have some sort of deep connection or something. Not me and Jamie. We couldn't be more different. Finally, I had a day off, so I arranged to go skateboarding with Rick. I grabbed my board and was about to leave when Mom blocked the door. Charlotte, where do you think you're going? Jamie has a date tomorrow, and her dress needs hand washing. What? This was ridiculous. I rolled my eyes and said, "In that case, she can wash it herself." "Don't take that attitude with me, young lady. You'll do as you're told." Through angry sobs, I screamed at her, "I wish you weren't my mom!" Then I ran upstairs to my room. Right at that moment, the doorbell rang. My mom calmed down, cleared her throat, and opened the door. Huh? Why was there an expensive-looking car in our driveway? And why was a wealthy-looking couple standing on the doorstep? Curious, I hid behind the wall to see who they were and what they were here for. From my eavesdropping, I found out that the couple was the Barnes. They'd just retired from their jobs working for the government in the Secret Intelligence Department. Mom and Mrs. Barnes were besties in high school, so when they both fell pregnant at the same time, Mom offered to bring their daughter up as her own, so they could go and work away on their secret mission. "We've both taken early retirement, and we can finally enjoy life. We're very grateful to both you and Gerald for looking after our daughter, but we're here to take her home now." Oh my God! Turns out, one of us was adopted. No wonder we were nothing alike. But was it Jamie or me? Could it be me? I mean, Mom always preferred Jamie, so she could be her biological daughter. I knew they were my real parents. I could feel it. So taking a deep breath, I nervously stepped out to meet them. "Jamie, come down here, sweetie." Mom called, and I froze on the spot. I watched on as Jamie appeared, and Mom introduced her to her real parents. She didn't even seem surprised. She just replied, "Yes, I know," then sweetly grinned. "I'm so happy that I can finally meet you both." The Barnes cooed over Jamie like she was a puppy or something. Then they got emotional and all. Ugh, it made me want to puke. I ran up to my room, locked the door, and cried. Life was so unfair. Jamie was always the lucky one, while I always got the raw deal out of things. I must have cried myself to sleep, as when I woke up, it was morning. I reached for my phone. Jamie had messaged me. "It's sad you missed my farewell dinner. I had a great time living with you. Come and hang out sometime, okay?" Poof! I aggressively threw my phone down onto my bed. Bold of her to assume I would ever want to hang out with her. We had nothing in common. Luck alone was an example. Life went on, but without Jamie, as she moved to some rich kid's school. And I continued going to school, work, sneaking out to skateboard, and avoiding Mom as much as possible. Then one chemistry class, while we were carrying out an experiment in the lab, one of my classmates made a mistake. And boom! We were all left looking like Cinderella. And that might have actually been the best thing of that day, since we were dismissed 2 hours early. Excited, I rushed home to get my skateboard, but I knew I needed to sneak past Mom so she didn't accuse me of skipping class. But as I passed the kitchen, I saw her sitting at the table sobbing to herself. What was going on? Suddenly, she stood up and walked out to the backyard. There was a leather notebook and a pen on the kitchen table, so I tiptoed over and took a peek. It looked like her diary. Those freshly written lines were stained with tears. "Jamie, my baby, I miss you terribly. I want you to live a wealthy, happy life. So I made the ultimate sacrifice. I tell myself every day that you're now a Barnes, not a Smith anymore. Not my daughter anymore." What? I couldn't trust my own eyes. What did these words mean? Could it be... But even if she mistreats me sometimes, she couldn't be that kind of person, right? I tore out that page, then hurried off to the skate park. Only I couldn't concentrate. It was so bad, I messed up my pop shove-it and landed on my butt. Ugh, this was driving me insane. That evening, Mom appeared in my doorway and asked, "Charlotte, what did you do this afternoon?" I answered, "I told you already. I was at school and then the skate park." "Did you see my notebook? The leather one?" I shook my head in response. "Oh, it's my expense book. I can't remember where I left it." She gave another scan around my room before leaving. When she was out of sight, I immediately pulled out my phone and texted Jamie. Jamie, I miss you a lot. Can I come over to your house tomorrow? I needed to see Mr. and Mrs. Barnes. I had to find out what was going on once and for all. Jamie replied she had a date the next day. While I was typing out a reply, she sent me another message. We can't hang out. Please stop contacting me. Okay, that was weird. Did she sense something was up? I checked Jamie's social network profile and noted down the name of her new school. The next morning, I skipped class, went straight to Jamie's school administrator's office to ask for the Barnes' address. Oh, and of course, I made up a convincing story. Jamie's my sister, but then we found out she's actually the Barnes' biological daughter. Now my mom, who raised Jamie all these years, is really sick, and I need to tell her, but I don't know how to reach her. Perfect! She handed me the address and even wished me luck. There was no point wasting time, so I skated my way round to the Barneses. As I rang on their doorbell, I could feel my heart somersaulting in my chest. I introduced myself as soon as they answered the door. Hey, I'm Charlotte, Mrs. Smith's daughter, but I strongly believe I'm not Charlotte Smith because I have something to show you. Then I handed them the torn page from my mom's diary. They both turned ghostly pale, and Mr. Barnes even had to grip onto the doorframe to steady himself. I felt bad for putting them through this. I mean, what if I was wrong? So I suggested, let's just do a DNA test to be sure. A few days later, the Barnes turned up at our house with Jamie. They slammed 2 DNA test results down in front of Mom. I peered down at them. Whoa! Turns out I really am the Barnes' biological daughter after all. Mom gave this expressionless look, but then in a quiet voice she said, I just wanted Jamie to have a wealthy and privileged life. She's not as strong as Charlotte. She needs this more. Please don't blame her. She didn't know anything about this. Then she hugged Jamie and cried. Mr. and Mrs. Barnes looked overwhelmed. Finally, Mr. Barnes managed to find the words to say, Jamie's also like a daughter to us now. We will take care of her like you did with our daughter, but just stay away from us. He pulled Jamie away from Mom and guided her out of the house. Mrs. Barnes hugged me as she started crying. I found myself doing the same. This was my real mom holding me. Whoa, this was so crazy. I packed my things, but as I was leaving, my old mom called me back. Charlotte, I have something to give to you. Then she handed me a small box full of cash. This is your prize money. I put it away for your college fund. You better have it back. I'm so sorry. My sight blurred with tears. Dad was right. She still cared for me. My parents will forgive you. Then you'll soon see both of us again, I said as I hugged her tightly. Then I turned and left. A new life was waiting ahead of me. I've always been an overly possessive kind of girl, and I can't stand it if people touch stuff that belongs to me, especially if they do it without asking my permission first. And my boyfriend is no exception to that rule. Honestly, I was so worried that he'd cheat on me that I literally couldn't sleep at night. And then I did something that I'll regret for the rest of my life. I met Otis in the guitar club at school. He was tall, handsome, and smart, which made him very popular. But he's not a playboy. He'd only ever dated one girl called Sam before, who he broke up with last year. I often wondered if he still loved her, but I'd started to notice him always sitting next to me in the guitar club, and soon we were talking a lot. One day, he confessed that he had a major crush on me and asked me to be his girlfriend. I couldn't believe it. I was on cloud 9, but very quickly I started to panic. I didn't want any other girl stealing him from me. I made our relationship very public and shared our photos on every social media platform. We were inseparable, and I always kept my eyes on him. Otis seemed fine with this. In fact, he thought it was kind of cute how much I doted on him. But none of that eased my obsession with the fact that he might cheat on me. It was all I thought about. So there was only one thing for it. I had to test him. I had to make sure he really loved me. I created a few fake social media accounts and used images of really hot girls to see if Otis would flirt with them. Then I tried to add him as a friend from these accounts and send him flirty messages. One time, I even sent super sexy photos to him from one of these fake accounts. Believe it or not, though, he ignored them. I felt so relieved. So he did love me. I could relax. Well, for the moment, anyway. But it didn't take long for the worry to set in again. I'm not proud to admit this, but I even hired a boyfriend test service. I chose the most beautiful girl, even though the service was crazy expensive. I had it all planned out. It was just Otis and I at my house one night. We ordered dinner, and then I told him I needed to go buy some soda at the store. After I left, the girl arrived disguised as the delivery guy. She brought the food into Otis, and I sat in the car outside watching them on my phone. The girl had attached a mini camera onto the box of food, and she placed it on the table so I could clearly see everything happening between them. She was so seductive in her tight, mini dress and kept flirting with Otis, but he just wasn't interested. I sat in the car amazed. I was so proud of him. I had been sure he'd not be able to resist her. After that, I decided that I'd played enough games, and now I could really trust him. But then, one day at school, Sam and her new boyfriend Louis walked past our table. She looked at Otis and said, "You two look happy, don't you? I'm glad you finally found someone to replace me." Then she just walked away, without so much as even glancing in my direction. It was like I was invisible to her. So, she thought I was just some replacement, huh? That was it. I had to prove to her that Otis loved me now and that she meant nothing to him. Later that night, I texted her on social media, annoyed that she thought I was scared and jealous of her and that Otis only loved her. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know why Otis had dated someone like her before. I got annoyed and gave her a challenge that we would flirt with each other's boyfriends for a week and see whose boyfriend was a faithful person. She said it sounded fun and that she'd love a challenge like this. But really, I was only doing this to make sure Otis really loved me and had no more feelings for Sam. So the plan was set. That weekend, both Sam and I asked our boyfriends to go to the cinema. But then, at the last minute, we both made up excuses about why we couldn't go, even though our boyfriends had already bought the tickets. I went to the cinema where Sam's boyfriend Louis was and acted as if it was just by chance that I was there too. I asked why he was alone, and he said, "Oh, Sam had a family thing, so I've been stood up." I told him I was on my way to buy a ticket, and he said I could just use Sam's. Yes, the plan was working. We watched the movie together and even hung out afterwards to chat. After that night, Louis messaged me a few times, and one day I even walked home from school with him. By the end of that week, it became clear to me that Louis was actually interested in me, and he even invited me out for dinner. But Otis was also still giving me lots of attention. He even told me about what Sam had been doing and was very apologetic. He kept saying it was really annoying, and why couldn't she just leave him alone? I was so happy to hear this. It felt like I'd won. Both guys liked me, and no one liked Sam. I decided to meet Louis for dinner and wait for him to tell me how he felt about me. Then I could tell Sam and she'd be so upset. Served her right, though, for assuming Otis was still in love with her. But that night, things didn't go exactly as planned. We were sitting having dinner when all of a sudden, Louis leaned into me and kissed me passionately. I closed my eyes and all I could think about was how I'd won. And Sam had lost. But then I heard a click-click sound, and I froze. I opened my eyes, turned around, and there was Sam, standing there taking photos of us. She started laughing like a crazy person, and Louis walked over to her and joined her.
I had no idea what was going on. But then they told me. They'd deliberately done this. Sam had told Lewis to pretend to fall for me, just so she could catch me out. I couldn't believe it. How could she be so evil? She sent all the photos to Otis, and now I feel so ashamed. Otis was so angry, and no matter how much I tried to explain, he wouldn't believe me. And it's all my fault, all because of my possessiveness. What can I do to get Otis to understand I didn't mean it, and that I really love him? I was born into a pretty poor family, so money was always on my mind. As I grew up, all I wanted was to have money, and I couldn't wait until I was old enough to start making some of my own. I especially couldn't stand the way people took advantage of others just to get some quick cash, and yet it wasn't long before I almost became like one of those gold diggers that I hated so much. I'm Jolie, and I'm 20 years old. You might be wondering why I hate gold diggers. Well, who doesn't? But for starters, my mom was one. Yup, that's right. She ditched me and my dad to marry some rich guy when I was just 5 years old. I can't even recall her face, but I still remember that day like it was just yesterday. I was screaming and crying and begging her not to leave, but she didn't even look back. Ever since, it's just been me and my dad. Obviously, my dad worked really hard to make enough money to raise me alone, but we were still poor. He worked on construction sites, and the hours were long, so it wasn't long before his health started to go downhill. A lot of his money went towards medical bills, and so we made do with whatever was left. This made me hate my mom so much. She was the most selfish person in the world to me. Dad still encouraged me to focus on my education, though, so I ended up going to college to further study Chinese, which I've always been fond for. But after 1 year, we couldn't afford it anymore, so I decided to quit and find a job to help my dad out. At first, I worked as a waitress, but I was pretty smart, and my Chinese was good, so eventually, I got another job as an interpreter in a big company, where I met John. He was the CEO, and also the person who would change my entire life. So there I was working 2 jobs, and even though I was exhausted, I was happy. I was making enough money to look after my dad, and also had enough left to buy gifts for my boyfriend. Yep, that's right. I had a boyfriend called Scott, and we'd been dating for 2 years. I felt like the luckiest girl in the world, because he was drop-dead gorgeous. I loved buying him stuff, because it made him so happy. Finally, my life was turning around for the better. But then everything changed in the blink of an eye. I caught Scott cheating on me with some woman the same age as his mom. I couldn't believe it. He used his good looks to date older women, just so he could get their money. He was as bad as my mom. Nothing but a gold digger. Though, little did I know, I was about to follow in their footsteps. It all started the day I caught him cheating. I was so upset and miserable. I'd bumped into them in the mall where I'd seen them holding hands and kissing, and all I wanted was to get as far away as possible from there. I ran out onto the street, and then I just collapsed onto the sidewalk and started crying my eyes out. Suddenly, I heard someone say, "Jolie, what are you doing here?" I looked up, and John, the CEO, was standing there. I tried to stop the tears, but I couldn't. I couldn't even speak. He helped me up and told me to get in the car and go somewhere so I could calm myself down. Then we ended up in a bar, and I drank a lot. I couldn't stop myself from telling him about what Scott had done. John comforted me, and then, the next moment, I woke up and John was lying next to me. I was about to freak out, but John looked at me and smiled and said that if I hung out with him from time to time, like this, then he'd subsidize everything for me so that I could go back to college and pay my tuition. I was shocked. He said it had to be our secret so that his wife didn't find out. I was about to say no way, but the thought of being able to finish my studies and graduate made me consider it again. And after all, John was being so sweet, and me and my dad could really use that extra money. So the next moment, I found myself nodding my head, and the rest was history. I had officially become John's secret lover, aka a gold digger. And let me tell you, my life got so much easier. I went back to college and had more time to enjoy life. But at the same time, I couldn't shake off the guilt, especially when I thought about John's wife. I'd never met her before, but I knew from working at John's company that her name was Doris, and that she was the perfect wife. I even found out that they didn't have kids because Doris was infertile after some accident. This made me feel so bad. How had I let myself become a mistress like this? It wasn't right. But still, I couldn't just end things with John. You see, I'd actually started to fall in love with him. Yes, you can say I was a gold digger, but I also had real feelings for him. And so did he. He took care of me, and I was happy with him. It was only natural that I'd start loving him. And so, even though I knew what we were doing was wrong, I couldn't stop it. Then one day, I was walking to the bus stop when a random man approached me and said that Doris wanted to meet me. Oh my God, Doris knew about me? I felt so sick suddenly. He said she wanted to meet me right away, and so I followed him to a nearby cafe where she was waiting. As soon as I saw her, my jaw dropped. I knew her. It was the woman Scott had cheated on me with. No way! I couldn't believe my eyes. When she saw me, she looked shocked. But then she said, "Well, well, well. Looks like we're destined to meet. Okay, I'll get straight to the point. You need to back away from my husband." What? Clearly, Doris wasn't the perfect wife everyone made her out to be. I said to her, "You do know you're no better than me, right? I wonder what John would say if he knew you were having an affair too." She was furious. She started shouting at me, saying John would never leave her, and that she would not let me steal him away, especially his money, and that it all belonged to her. Then she stormed off. Surprise, surprise, she was just with John for his money. She was even worse than me. At least I loved him. After that meeting, the war between Doris and I officially began. She started to rub in my face that she was his wife, and I wasn't. Every day, she'd turn up at the office with his lunch and kiss him in front of me. Honestly, it made me sick. No, really, like literally sick. But no luck for her, the universe works in funny ways. And guess what? I was pregnant. And this was one thing I could give John that Doris couldn't. I was so happy. I called John right away. He was over the moon and promised to take care of me and the kid. He started spending more time with me after that. But one day when we were together, Doris called and said she was sick. I couldn't stand her interrupting our special time like this, so I pretended to have stomach pains, and he immediately drove me to the hospital and asked their maid to go take care of Doris. Ha! I'd won this time. But then something shocking happened. Doris appeared in front of my house. When would she give up? I walked towards her and asked, "What else do you want now?" She was about to say something, but suddenly, my dad came out from the house and said, "Jolie, what are you doing?" So both me and Doris turned back and, well, that's when things got crazier. "Doris?" My dad shouted in surprise. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. Then Doris said, "Thomas?" How did they know each other? Well, the next thing, my dad was screaming, "Get away from her! She's not your daughter anymore!" I froze. Doris was my mom? Before I could even say anything, she ran to her car and drove off. I didn't even want to see my dad. I just wanted to be alone. That night, I lay awake all night thinking about it all. I'd been competing with my mom? This was so wrong. What was I going to do? I loved John, and I wanted to have his baby so badly, but he was my mom's husband. And then, all those old feelings of abandonment came flooding back. My mom had left us, and now she was hurting John. She just took advantage of our love and only cared about money. She didn't care about any of us. Why could she be so selfish? I couldn't stop crying. Everything was such a mess. Eventually, I fell asleep, and when I woke up, I knew what I had to do. Even though she was my mum, she needed to learn a lesson once and for all. I called John and asked if we could meet at our favorite cafe. I was so nervous, but I told him everything. How she'd cheated on him, and then how she was my mum. I even showed him some photos of her with Scott that I'd taken outside Scott's house. John was so shocked. He just stared at me, not saying anything. He looked completely heartbroken, and I wanted to hug and comfort him, but I knew I couldn't do that anymore. In the end, John divorced Doris and kicked her out of the house, leaving her with nothing. And then, you won't believe it, he proposed to me. What did I say? Well, I'm still deciding. Becoming the wife of my mom's ex-husband just feels a bit strange. My mom has suffered a lot already. I'm not sure I want to make her even more miserable. But, let's see. All I know is that I'm going to give birth soon and raise this baby in the best way I can. I'm definitely going to be a better mom than my mom was. That's for sure. Hey, Kat here. Again. I hope you're not bored of me yet. As if. Anyway, here's a recap of the last part of my story so far. In the last episode, I confessed my feelings to my crush, Garrett, but he rejected me because I was not girly enough for him. To make it even worse, he said he liked Taylor and wanted me to help them become a couple. I couldn't believe it. I was so furious that I argued with my mom. Then I came to my dad's house, and that's when my dad asked me to help him get back with Mom. Apparently, I jumped at the chance and immediately put my healing family relationships plan into action. But suddenly, Max said that he wanted to tell me something important. So, okay, he led me out to the garden. I followed him and kept wondering what he wanted to talk to me about. Did he know I wanted to split him and my mom up, and he was going to scold me for it? No way! As soon as we sat down, I asked him immediately, "What's the matter?" He just smiled. "I wanted to chat with you, so that we could understand each other better." I gave him a doubtful look. Why did he suddenly care about me? Jeez, this was so awkward. Then Max said, "Kat, I know that you want your parents to get back together." He hesitated a bit, then continued, "I don't dare to say that I'm better than your dad, but, you know, we are all from broken families, and I just want to give you, your mom, and Taylor a happy home life. So I hope that you'll accept me and give me a chance." I didn't know how to reply to him. Okay, so I knew that Max truly loved my mom, as he always looked at her affectionately. But what about my dad? He was miserable without Mom, and if given the chance, he would definitely make us happy. As for Max, I was sure he'd have no trouble finding someone else. Okay, so I might have said Max was kind, but the reality was he wasn't right for Mom, but my dad was. I mean, they had history, and they had me. The wedding day loomed closer, and Mom and Max grew even soppier together. I wanted to cancel the wedding, but it seemed impossible. But then I realized something. Maybe I could somehow delay it? I had thought seriously for a few days. Then I came up with an idea. I would pretend to break my leg. If I couldn't come to the wedding, my mom had to postpone it, right? OMG! I was absolutely a genius. I immediately messaged Harry and told him about my bright idea for my Get Dad Back with Mom plan. Naturally, he replied I was bonkers, but he agreed to help me. He even told me how that could work, as his cousin was a doctor and he would definitely help us. Awesome! However, to make this plan work, first of all, I had to appear helpful so Mom wouldn't suss me out. So I kept asking her about the wedding preparations and said that she could tell me if she needed help. At first, she was quite surprised, but then she looked so happy and satisfied. Maybe Mom thought that her beloved daughter had finally grown up. That day, after school, I put the plan into action. Of course, with the help of Harry's doctor cousin. His cousin was really helpful. After bandaging my leg, he even gave me advice on how to walk, like I had really broken it. Then Harry took me home. When seeing me, my mom was totally terrified. She kept asking us what had happened. Harry lied that during a game of soccer, I'd tried to steal the ball and fallen awkwardly on my leg. I hadn't wanted to worry them, so he'd taken me to his cousin's clinic. I'd fractured it, and it would take me about 4 weeks to recover. His story was so real that I almost believed it myself. He was absolutely the best comrade in my life. After that, Mom spent more time taking care of me and wasn't as strict as before. Honestly, it was great. However, I really missed practice, and lying on my bed all day wasn't as fun as it sounded. My bedroom was on the 2nd floor, so my mom always brought me food so that I didn't need to go downstairs. One day, after lunch, I was so bored that I decided to go over to my desk to pick up my laptop and play some music. While I was standing and swinging to the rhythm, my mom came in with a plate of fruit in her hand. I was so surprised, but I immediately leaned on the desk and said, "Ay." She rushed to help me and asked what I was doing. In my most pitiful voice, I said, "Mom, I wanted to practice walking for your big day, but my leg just hurts so much, and I'm not sure I'll be able to cope with the wedding." She stroked my hair and said, "It's okay, honey. Harry will come with you to the wedding and help you out." I leaned on her and sobbed. "I can't do it. You see, Taylor will look like a princess, and I'll look like an Egyptian mummy. I wish there was some way the wedding could be delayed for a bit." My voice was smaller, and my eyes filled with false tears. Oh my God, forget soccer. I needed to join the drama club. The next day, she came into my room with Max, and she told me that they had some big news. "We can't contemplate getting married without you there, so we've decided to postpone the wedding until your leg is better." OMG. I'm a genius! But I tried not to look too excited. As soon as they left my room, I messaged Dad and told him the amazing news. Then I told him that I'd given him more time, but he needed to up his game. After that, Dad dropped in all the time, with the excuse that he wanted to check on me. But the problem was that Max was always around, so Dad couldn't have any private time with Mom. Cue the next step of my plan. I told my mom that I wanted to move down to Taylor's bedroom as her room was on the 1st floor, so I could walk around the house and get some fresh air. She agreed Taylor and I could switch rooms. But I begged again. No way! Taylor stole my crush, and now she's gonna live in my room? It's too much to even think about. Why don't you tell Max and Taylor to move out for a while? At least until my leg's better. Whenever I see Taylor running and dancing around, it bugs me out. She's so insensitive. Mom looked flustered, but she tried to keep calm and persuaded me to exchange the room with Taylor, just until my leg was better. At that point, Max came in. Turns out, he'd overheard our conversation. He turned to her and said, "Mary, I think Taylor and I should go and stay with my parents for a while. Then, when Kat's all healed up, we can come back." Mom's eyes filled up with tears, and I did feel a little bad, but when I saw him kiss her on the top of the head, I just felt annoyed. Mom belonged with Dad, not him. That night, while I was lying on the bed and texting Harry, Taylor stormed in looking furious. I took my eyes off the phone, smirked, and said, "Oh, it's nice of you to take time out of packing to visit me." She yelled at me, "Stop being so selfish and stop this! Because of you, the wedding has been delayed, and now you're kicking us out? Newsflash, this is my home too, Kat. The world doesn't just revolve around you." I stared at her. OMG. Why couldn't she just shut up and leave already? I told her, "You can stay here, but first, you need to break up with Garrett." She was furious and ran out without saying anything. Finally, Max and Taylor moved out. Plus, Harry told me that Taylor had broken up with Garrett. Oh my god, that feeble girl was so docile. Life was pretty awesome, but I couldn't wait to lose that itchy bandage. Dad popped by loads to take care of me. He even brought some cherry cakes and tulips, my mom's favorites for her. I felt like after all these storms, my family were finally reunited. Then, after a whole agonizing month, it was time for the bandage to go. Of course, I couldn't go to the clinic with my mom, so I came up with some excuse that I wanted to eat her clam soup when I got back. It worked, as she called Harry to go with me. When the bandage was removed, I cheered, and Harry laughed at me. "I hope it was worth it, Kat," he said. "It totally was." I winked at him. I arrived home expecting Mom to greet me excitedly, but she wasn't in the kitchen. I heard voices coming from upstairs, so I stealthily put my ear against the door and heard Mom's voice. "We're over, Satya! How can you beg for me back after what you did?" Then I heard Dad reply,
"I'm so sorry. It was all my fault. I should never have forced you to have an abortion just because the baby was a girl. But you know the pressures of having a son in India. Moreover, then there were your complications. You had one chance at having a baby. That's why I thought holding out for a son would be better. But that was the past. I've changed now. I love you and our daughter, and I just want to take care of you both."
"Oh, please. You only support Kat dressing like a boy because you want her to be a boy. Please, stop bothering us and leave us alone." What? Turns out, Dad had never truly supported me. He just wanted to have a son? He was the one who didn't want me to exist in the world. All along, he was the villain, not Mom. I felt disgusted. I slumped in front of the door and couldn't believe what I was hearing. It felt like my whole life had been one big stinking lie.
I dashed along the hallway, then skidded to a halt in front of the classroom door. I was late. Again. Miss Anderson, what's your excuse today?
Morning, sir. I'm sorry, but my spaniel hid my shoes, then
I tripped over a package by my front door, then my heap of a junk car wouldn't start, and that's enough. Good God. Please sit down. Ashley already took attendance. What? So much for my perfectly crafted excuse. Mr. O'Shaughnessy totally would have let it slide, but she had to ruin it.
I'm Ashley. I'm pretty. I'm perfect. Everybody likes me.
Well, no one likes teachers' pets, Ashley. Think I'm being too harsh on her? Just ask anyone about Ashley May Anderson. Ashley's father's a vet with a Medal of Valor. They even had dinner with the president at the White House. For her sweet 16, she rented out the swankiest club downtown for an entire weekend, and David Guetta DJ'd. Ashley dated 2 college boys at the same time, and when they found out, things got physical. Okay, maybe not all of that was true, but who cares? Look, the main character here is me. Hi, my name's Ashley May Anderson. I know, what a freaky coincidence, right? But that's the only thing we had in common. Because unlike popular Ashley, I'm just a normal teen who's just minding her own business. But then she transferred here and messed up everything. This happens every time I open my locker. And they're not addressed to me, but to Ashley. Jeez, why do boys go so cuckoo bananas over that pretentious princess? I gathered that whole cluster and dumped them on Ashley's desk. Here's your delivery for the day. Oh, I have no use for those things. You can keep them if you want. Ha! How snobby. I know those rumors weren't all lies. Alright, if you said so. Being mistaken for Ashley was so annoying that I did consider putting a sign on my locker or something. But I suppose sometimes it actually had its perks. Like when I accidentally knocked over a trash can in the school's parking lot. But upon knowing my name, the janitor said my father was his commanding officer back in the day and let me off. And believe it or not, these mix-ups didn't only happen at school. Once, my family went out for dinner and the staff at this restaurant thought we were the other Andersons. They must be some really important people, cause the super attentive waiters topped up our drinks for free and gave us complimentary desserts. Pretty sweet, right? Only when we were leaving, things almost went south when the manager shook my dad's hand and said, "Thank you for your service." My dad seemed confused, but fortunately, I dragged him away before they busted us. I mean, Ashley's been enjoying these privileges her entire life, so it's fair I benefit a little from them. Especially since I have to endure being called her Walmart version. Anyway, back to me. I arrived home to find a teary-eyed girl sitting on our front porch. She must be one of Billy's exes. If your brother's a jock that all girls flock around, you'd get used to this real soon. He went through girlfriends quicker than hair gel, and he always had some peeves about them, like Mandy, too clingy, Katie, too dramatic, Maggie, too flirty. The list goes on. Then, as soon as my backpack hit the bedroom floor, my door burst open. "Hey, I need your help." "What? Need a hand to make up with Cry Barbie out there? She's ancient history. Check this out. Her name's Jane Brown. Ain't she a beaut?" I immediately recognized her. She's the waitress that he kept eyeing the other day. Now, he needed my help to ask her out and not seem creepy. So, I suggested taking her to his friend Alexander's party this weekend. "How do you know about that? Isn't that cool people exclusive?" As if I wanted to. I was added to their group chat by accident because they thought I was Ashley. Right. Hot Ashley. You should come too. I'll be with Jane, but Victor will be there. Wait, I'll see my crush at that stupid party? Sign me up then. Jocks, cheerleaders, stuck-up kids. This place was packed with people like Billy. My brother briefly introduced me to the host Alexander, while Madison followed him around looking all shy and gooey-eyed. Wasn't she bothered that all Alexander seemed to care about was if anyone had seen Ashley? I also got to officially meet Jane, but the person I was looking for was Victor. He's so much more than just a cute face in the crowd. He's the peanut butter to my jelly. But before I could talk to him, a bunch of dudes popped out of nowhere. "This is Ashley? Oh man, I thought she was supposed to be pretty. No offense though. She's a 6 if you squint hard enough." I'm squinting now and you're barely even to yourself. No offense though. What did you say? Don't worry, you can still go after pretty girls. They just need a crate of fear first. The crowd suddenly felt silent and stared at us. This party is so lame. Peace out, losers. Anywhere is better than that stuffy elitist hellhole. But it's a bummer I didn't get to talk to Victor. He's Billy's best bro and used to come hang out at our place pretty much every day. But not anymore. Guess he's been avoiding me ever since I told him I had feelings for him. I was going to settle things with him tonight, but those jerks ruined it. Do I need to print my own t-shirt saying, "I'm Ashley, you must be looking for Ashley"? The next day, while looking for Victor, I heard someone calling my name, but I turned around only to see Alexander calling for, Ashley. So annoying. I saw him make a move on her, but she said guys like him bored her, then proceeded to list all his flaws. Oof, harsh. From then on, I tried my best to avoid Ashley, and thought my life would be light and breezy. But nope. On the contrary, I found myself in a series of unfortunate events. One day, a stack of religious magazines randomly showed up on our doorstep. But the real kicker was, they were all addressed specifically to me! And there was absolutely no way to convince my family and neighbors that I wasn't a member of the Church of Scientology. 2 days later, all of my clean clothes had some weird stains and holes on them. I had to beg Billy to lend me some of his. That day, I went to school in an old jersey, looking like a midget. Then, this Monday, I became the center of attention by showing up with my face covered in pimple patches and band-aids. Well, that's because I woke up to countless cystic acne and didn't have enough patches. This resulted in me being called the mummy for 5 days straight. But the final straw was my car having 2 flat tires. The clock was ticking, so I asked Billy to take me to school. However, he just flat out refused, saying he'd already promised to pick Jane up. No other choice, I had to ride my old bike. When I saw Billy's car in the driveway, my pettiness got the better of me, so I splashed my half-empty milk carton over the windshield. I'm on my way. Oh my god, you little brat! Sorry, babe, you won't believe what my sister just did. Seeing Billy's reaction was chef's kiss. Ha! You got it coming, big bro. The next day, my car was fixed, so I managed to get to school early. Looks like my string of bad luck was finally over. Okay, let's see who wants to confess to Queen Ashley today. From Victor? Oh no, why him? I stood there, frozen with a letter in my hand, still processing the situation when a friend came and showed me something on her phone. It's a video of me singing and dancing in my room! No one's supposed to see this, ever! It had been uploaded by some throwaway account, but who else could it be but Jesus Christ, Billy! I rushed home to see Billy and Jane cuddling in the living room. How's he still so calm after pulling that on me? I confronted him, and he didn't even bother denying it, and even said that's what I deserved for vandalizing his car. We screamed and shouted at each other, but before we ended up in a fistfight, he stopped and stumped off to his room. I was still fuming, glaring at his shadow, when I saw Jane gawping at me in delight. Don't blame your poor brother too much, dear. It was I who pulled the strings. What? Jane? But why? We'd barely even interacted. Then she went on about all of my mishaps lately were her doings. Yep, my so-called bad luck, it had been Jane all along. That's for stealing Alexander from my sister. He's her first love. Do you know how heartbroken Zoe has been? Wait, Zoe who? And why on earth would I choose to mingle with that playboy Alex? Kudos to this girl for thinking I could ever steal someone's boyfriend. Hello, I'm still struggling with my lifelong crush over here. I tried to tell her she made a mistake, but she wouldn't listen. Stop denying it. I know it's you. You're East High's Ashley with a vet dad. That checked all the boxes already. Hold up. There's another Ashley May Anderson in our school. She's Ashley with EY. I'm Ashley, EIGH. Her dad is a war veteran. My father is a veterinarian. Oh snap. Good lord. She devised this intricate plan, approached Billy just to make it work, and was successful for the most part. Well, apart from having the wrong person. Just amazing. Jane apologized and promised to take down the video. However, she wanted me to help her take revenge on Ashley in return. I didn't want to get involved, but I also never wanted to be on her bad side again, so I reluctantly agreed. But if you think about it, Jane's story didn't quite add up. Ashley seemed to have a holier-than-thou attitude and had dozens of admirers waiting in line. Why would she get in between them? Not to mention, Alexander's a notorious player who Ashley already ruthlessly rejected. I believe there's more to this. As expected, thanks to that video, my school life was now even more awkward than usual. But it didn't matter, as I was too preoccupied with Operation Ashley. Today's mission, approach her after cheerleading practice. I stood in the corner, behind the bleacher, waiting for my chance. But before I showed myself, I saw Madison march over, say something to Ashley, then storm off. After that, Ashley started sobbing? I didn't know what happened, but I felt bad for her. So I tried comforting her, but she kept brushing me off. Look, you can keep the Ice Queen act all you want, but I know you have feelings too. I thought you might have something else you want to share with me, not just the name. And it was like I pulled a lever that let out all of her bottled-up emotions, and we had a heart-to-heart all afternoon. Just as I thought, things weren't what they seemed. We'd better talk this through with one another, so I set up a meeting at a cafe in the South Coast Plaza, as they wouldn't dare to cause a scene in public, right? Anyway, Ashley clarified that Alexander and her weren't a thing, while assuring Zoe that she deserved a guy much better than him. But Alex was really sweet to me. He gave me this present on our 1-month anniversary. Did he say it's his grandmother's? Yeah, he tried giving me an identical one on my birthday. I'd say you dodged a bullet when you two broke up. Please, look at yourself first. You two flirt with boys left and right, and still act all high and mighty. Get off that high horse. Ashley seemed genuinely hurt by Jane's words that it took her a while to speak up. I'm just sick and tired of being the popular girl who has to live up to everyone's expectations. It's too exhausting. I thought transferring here would mean a fresh start, but everyone still has this impression of me which I can't seem to change. The rest of us looked at each other in confusion when we saw how sad Ashley's situation actually was. We didn't know there were so many downsides to being high school popular. Ashley, you know you can just be yourself, right? The world will have to accept you for who you truly are. If people don't like you, then so be it. Yeah, if they don't, that's their problem, not yours. You can't fit into a mold to please everyone, 'cause there's no such thing. I don't want to agree with her, but she has a point. Let the whole world know the real Ashley. And you too, Zoe. Someday, you'll find a good guy who loves you for yourself. Alright, girls, that's settled. Now, I have to deal with my own mess. Billy found out the truth and now he's been ghosting me. But I swear to God, I'm in love with this guy. Gotta go. Bye. I couldn't believe I was rooting for my saboteur and her accomplice to be together. But here I was. Go get him, Tiger. The next Monday, Ashley walked to class and had lunch with me instead of Madison and her clique. And, of course, this didn't go unnoticed. You left us for her? What is she? You're not hot, sister? Before I could clap back, Ashley stood up and unleashed her inner sass. This is me living my life as my true self. If any of you bootlickers have something to say about that, you can shove it where the sun won't shine. Sweet Mary, Jesus, and Holy Spirits! Who knew she had it in her? Her words completely decimated those hyenas. And suddenly, someone grabbed my wrist. Victor? Slow down! Where are you taking me? Besides, you got the wrong person, and also the wrong address for this. You should give it to her yourself. Actually, I sent it to the right girl, but apparently she still hasn't opened it. Wait, what? And you're right, I should tell her myself. It's just that Billy and I made a deal that sisters are off limits, so I thought it's better to avoid you. But hearing Ashley talk about being herself made me realize that I'm sick of hiding my feelings. I'm gonna make Billy see how sincere I am for you. Before I do that, Ashley, I like you. And, will you go on a date with me? Yes! Yeah, I suppose that would be cool. This is beyond my wildest dream! Not only do I have a brand new friend, but also a date with my dream guy. Fortune is finally smiling on me.
I kicked off my heels and threw my handbag down on the table. Geez, I'm so tired. Should I quit this job? I thought out loud. I hoped my friends were home, as I needed to vent. I was about to lie down on the couch when I suddenly saw a shadow go toward the bathroom. I took a closer look. There was a man doing something in my bathroom. Was our place getting robbed? Panicked, I grabbed one of my heels, then rushed forward and hit him with it. Thief! Thief! Hazel! Ivy! Thief! I shouted out as I continued to slam my heel into him. He held his head and kept saying, You misunderstood! I'm not... Suddenly, my two friends rushed over, but instead of helping me tackle the intruder, they pulled me off of him. Maya, stop! Hazel said hastily. He's with us! Oops. I put my heel down and gave a sheepish look. Well, thanks for the heads up. Then, Hazel asked the guy if he was okay. He didn't say anything. Instead, he just glared at me before he walked out of the room. Suddenly, Hazel and Ivy were pulling me toward the kitchen table for a chat. So, apparently, they decided to find a new tenant, and this Wesley guy was the chosen one. Geez, it would have been nice if they'd run it past me first. I mean, I did live here. I frowned at them, told them they sucked, and that I didn't want to live with some random guy. Maya, we didn't tell you because we knew you'd act like this. Hazel sighed. But with the rent increase, we have no choice but to bring someone new into the mix. Besides, you have to admit that Wesley is nice to look at, Ivy said in a dreamy voice. Whatever! I crossed my arms. And no, I don't think he's in the slightest bit good-looking. Hazel grinned as she said, No, because he now has heel imprints all over his head. I rolled my eyes, then grabbed my handbag and headed toward my room. I didn't want to live with some dumb guy. But thanks to my totally unreasonable friends, I didn't have much choice. The next day was Saturday. Thank God. So I slept until noon, then lazily went down to the kitchen to get some leftover pizza. Huh? Where was it? I knew Ivy and Hazel were too calorie-obsessed to touch it. It could only be Wesley. He was watching TV in the living room, so I went over to him and asked loudly, "Did you eat my pizza? How dare you?" Without looking away from his show, he said, "Yeah, I threw it in the trash." He did what? Then he continued, "You left it in the fridge to go bad and spoil all the other foods. Please don't do that again." Huh. Where was my apology? He'd thrown away my lunch, and now he dared to challenge me? How annoying! I was about to give him a piece of my mind when he handed me something and said, "I made a list of house rules." I looked at the first 3 rules. Number 1, wash up all your dirty dishes straight after use, then thoroughly clean the basin. Number 2, write your initials on all your food and drinks and don't steal anyone else's. Number 3, shower time is 10 minutes maximum. Then clean the bathroom before leaving. What? Was this guy for real? Who in their right mind had the time or patience to write their initials on everything? I frustratingly replied to him, "No way am I—" Wesley interrupted me. "4 people are living here, so the majority vote goes." I smirked at him. I knew for sure that Hazel and Ivy would never accept those stupid rules. They liked the messy, grab-it-and-go lifestyle even more than me, and Ivy spent at least an hour in the shower. So we all gathered in the living room, and Wesley handed out his rules. But to my surprise, Ivy only flicked out her hair, then said, "Okay, Wesley." And Hazel fluttered her eyelashes and said, "Sure, these rules seem great." Geez, what was wrong with these girls? He wasn't even that handsome. Unfortunately, my love-struck friends' votes meant that I was outnumbered. I had no choice but to follow Wesley's ridiculous rules. The trash takeout rotation was so confusing. What was wrong with leaving it to overflow? I missed my slot, so Wesley stuck a Post-it note to my door saying, "Take the trash out at 6 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and 7 p.m. on the other days. It's not difficult, W." Ugh, who even used Post-it notes in this day and age? He was such a loser! Also, I have this box for my random items, hair slides, pins, keepsake tickets, scarves, and so on, which I kept in the living room. It didn't matter where I moved it. Wesley shook his head and mouthed the word no at me. Yep, you guessed it. He stuck another Post-it note to my door, this one saying, "No personal clutter in the communal areas, W." In the end, I stuck the box into my closet so it was out of the way. Living with Wesley was a nightmare, especially when I finally quit my job at that lame law firm, which means I had to stay home with him pretty much all the time. This guy was just too meticulous. If any of us dared place anything in the wrong place, he glared at us and said, "That isn't where it lives." Couldn't I put the TV remote on the arm of the couch if I wanted to? I pay rent too. I didn't want to live in a model home. One time, I was chilling in my room when I turned around to see Wesley standing there. He looked around my messy room, shook his head, then picked up my bra from the floor. I immediately snatched it out of his hand and hid it. How embarrassing! "Hey, why is your room so untidy?" He tutted, then grunted out before leaving. "Clean up right now." How dare he come into my room and order me about? I stomped out to the living room to confront him about it. But before I could do so, I was dumbfounded at the sight of Ivy and Hazel in the middle of a cleaning frenzy. Ivy smiled over at Wesley and said, "Isn't this shiny?" Then Hazel asked him, "Do you need me to move anything?" Jeez, it was like they had a spell cast on them or something. Then Wesley looked at me and said, "Maya, your friends have grasped the importance of keeping our living environment clean. So, why can't you?" Fine. If Wesley wanted me to change, then I would. Just not in the way he expected me to. It was time I took being messy to a whole new level. I started by moving things around. Then I rubbed the initials out on his can of soda and wrote on my own. Then I settled down for an afternoon watching a movie on the couch, my feet up on the upholstery, of course. Yep, I also dropped popcorn all over the place. I couldn't help but giggle, as I heard Wesley's disgruntled moans coming from the kitchen. Then I heard a cupboard slam, and he appeared in front of me.
Maya, that's mine.
He picked the soda can off the floor and examined the altered initials.
And this goes on a coaster on the table. Ugh, I can't stand it anymore.
He swatted my legs down.
I'll be your cleaner, but I'm charging you for it.
Sure, Wesley, if that's what you want. I smiled before I threw a piece of popcorn into the air, and it missed my mouth and landed on the couch. He muttered under his breath as he picked it up and marched over to the trash can. Hey, this could be fun, especially as I had no intention of making it easy for him. I left a trail of candy wrappers around the house, dropped crumbs on the couch, and purposely didn't take my sneakers off at the door, so I got mud clumps everywhere. It was so funny watching him squirm as he cleaned up after me. Then one time, when I knew he was in an online work meeting, I barged into his room and dropped an armful of my dirty laundry on his floor, then fled. He was so mad, but couldn't move an inch since his boss was talking. Then suddenly, I got a phone call. Weird. It's from a guy at the law firm I'd worked at. Turns out, they're short-staffed and asked me to come back to work until they find someone else. But you know what? I was too sick of that job, so I politely declined the offer. But suddenly, he yelled at me with words like,
"Don't be so full of yourself. You should have been grateful for this offer, because I don't think you'd be able to survive one day in the world out there. You're irresponsible, unorganized, and lazy. Have fun being jobless."
Then he hung up, leaving me speechless. I felt so terrible. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. "I'm sorry about earlier, but I'm really not in the mood right now, Wes," I mumbled upon seeing Wesley walk into my room, probably to scold me about the pile of laundry. But instead, he sat down next to me, passed me a tissue, and told me that I may be the messiest girl ever, but I deserved better than that shitty job and shitty boss.
Trust yourself. I know there's more to you than this. And maybe, if you find the right job that you're passionate about, who knows? You can even become the most organized and diligent girl ever.
He teased me to brighten up the atmosphere. Okay, so maybe Wesley wasn't all bad. After that, I decided to try and be a teensy bit tidier from now on, but not too tidy. Later on, he stuck a post-it note to my door saying he wouldn't be cleaning up after me tonight, as he was going out. I asked the girls where Wesley was, and they looked disappointed, as they said he went out all dressed up and mentioned something about a date. Why did I feel a knot in my chest at the thought of Wesley on a date with some other girl? I couldn't like him, could I? Nah, how could I like someone that particular? I watched a movie to push away those strange feelings, and then went to bed. Only, I found myself unable to sleep. So at about 1 a.m., I went and got a glass of water. That's when he returned. I asked him how his date went, and he looked really awkward, muttered something out about how she was just a friend, then lingered on the spot there for me to finish, so he could wash up my glass and put it away before he went to bed. Okay, so that was weird. The weirdness continued for the next week. Wesley continued to clean up after me, but he couldn't even meet my eye, and whenever I tried talking to him, he ignored me, then hurried off. Then, one time when I was in my room, I heard footsteps by my door. I knew it was him with one of his dumb notes again. So I pushed open the door to see him standing there, red-faced, then shouted at him, "Why are you avoiding me?" He blushed and looked at the note he'd just stuck to my door. Quickly, I read it. "I'm sorry I've been avoiding you. The truth is, you're the messiest girl I've met in my whole life, but I still can't stop thinking about you. W." What? Did he like me too? I pulled him into my room to talk about this, but he looked at the mess and shook his head.
"That doesn't live there."
He gestured to the coat thrown on my bed. "Give it a rest." I rolled my eyes before I pulled him closer to me and kissed him. And we've been together ever since. As much as it pains me to say, it turns out that this messy girl can't live without her cleaning-obsessed guy. But then they do say that opposites attract. Who knew that bonding over post-it notes and spoiled pizza could lead to something more? I waited till my mom went out for groceries, then snuck into her room. I'm just borrowing. Just borrowing. I'll pay you back soon. I know what it looks like. Trust me, I don't want to steal from my mom. But if I don't do this, then I could lose my boyfriend and my friends. Then I'll be lonely and sad and easy prey for mean kids to tease. Ugh. I rushed to the park to meet Florian, my boyfriend. That's him over there. I walked over to him and handed him the money. You promise you'll pay it back soon?
Sure, babe. You know you can trust me.
I went home and convinced myself that I'd have the money back before Mom even noticed. But the next day at school, I couldn't find Florian anywhere. At break time, I asked my friend if she'd seen him, and she told me the shocking truth. Florian had been sent to reformatory camp. Oh my God! Did he really just scam me? Feeling my eyes tear up, I rushed to a corner in the school garden. Okay, so I don't actually have feelings for Florian. I dated him and hung around with the rebel kids because I wanted to build a cool image. The truth is, I'm just a poor girl. If people find this out, then my life would be over, right? They'd isolate me and tease me. Hey, Shannon, are you okay? Oh no, that's my friend Rachel. I can't have her see me like this. Hey, what's happened? She sounded so sincere, and I had to admit it. It would kind of be nice being able to confide in someone. So I blurted out how my dad passed away last year, and now Mom struggles to pay the bills, and she works all hours in a factory, and how Florian tricked me into giving him money from Mom's savings. To my surprise, Rachel put her arm around me and, smiling sweetly, said, "It's okay, Shannon. I can lend you the money. You can pay me back whenever." My eyes lit up and I spluttered out, "Really? You do that for me?" "Of course. We're friends, aren't we?" Wow, that was surprising. Turns out I'd massively underestimated my friend. I thought she would tease me if she knew the truth, but instead, she actually sympathized with me and tried to help me. At lunchtime, my friend Dee sat down next to me and asked why I looked so down. I wonder. I then glumly stared down at my yogurt, sighed, and told her how awful things were for me at the moment. She rubbed my arm and told me it would be okay. Then she lent me some money. Wow, it worked again! I did this a couple more times and voila! I had enough money to replace in my mom's box before she even noticed it was missing. Oh, that's so pretty. It would be just perfect for my upcoming model audition, but there's no way I can afford it. I glumly walked off, daydreaming about how amazing I'd look in that dress. "Hi, Shannon!" I turned around and, oh, it was Brett, this dorky guy from school. He hurried over to me, nervously itched at his neck, and then spluttered out, "Hey, Shannon, are you shopping?" Ugh, this guy was so annoying, as if a pretty girl like me would be interested in a dorky guy like him. Hang on, was that a Louis Vuitton shopping bag in his hands? I must have been looking at it, as he lifted it up and, blushing, said, "Oh, it's a present for my mom's birthday." I stroked his arm, then gave him my best doe-eyed look. "Brett, you're such a good son. Your parents must be so proud of you. I wish I could get my mom something that meaningful too, but we're too poor." I sniffed. "I can't even afford this really pretty dress I need for my audition." Brett smiled sweetly at me and said, "That's okay. How about I get you the dress as a birthday gift? Your birthday's coming up anyway, right? Let's go!" So that's how I ended up with the perfect dress. Oh, and I also ended up with a new boyfriend, Brett. At first, it was great being taken out to posh restaurants and bought lavish gifts for. But then the shine started to fade. I didn't like Brett in that way. In fact, I found him kinda annoying. He's not handsome at all, and he does the dumbest stuff. The other day in the lunch queue, he actually started showing me the terrible dance for his latest TikTok video, and it was so embarrassing. Whenever I had to hang around with Brett, I found myself daydreaming about someone else. This hot boy named Tyler. If only I wasn't stuck in this rut with Brett. But it was worth it for the money and stuff, right? Then one day at school, Rachel came over to me and asked me for her money back. I told her I was really sorry, but I didn't have any at the minute. Rachel sneered. Really? Then how come you have all this new stuff? You know my family's poor. I hardly ever see my mom as she works so much. I don't have any money. Fine, whatever. She stormed off. Rachel must have spoken to the others about this, as when I was with Brett next to the lockers, they came over to me and all started asking for their money back. I tried explaining to them that I didn't have any money, but one of them snorted.
Yeah, right. You've had us all fooled with your sob story. Watch out, Brett. She'll do the same to you, too.
Then they walked off. Brett was giving me this questioning look, so I tried to act like everything was fine and started sorting my books out. He didn't say anything after that, so I acted as nothing happened and held onto his arm as we walked to class. Then suddenly, he pushed my hand away. Is it true? Are you only with me for my money? No! How can you say that? Stop being ridiculous. I tried to deny, but he wouldn't quit going on and on, which drove me mad. You don't trust me? Fine. I don't think I want to be with someone who thinks that little of me anymore. Goodbye. I then stormed off to the girls' restroom. Phew! I almost got exposed. But hey, at least I was now free of Brett, right? But what if Rachel and the others started making more of a fuss about the money? I didn't want them being mean to me about it. I needed to find a way to pay them all back, and fast. I approached Tyler after his basketball practice and asked him if he'd like to go for a drink. There, I put on the waterworks and told him all about my poor family and how I borrowed money from my friends to pay the bills, and now they're all mad at me. Tyler seemed genuinely concerned and instantly handed over some money. I hugged him and repeatedly thanked him. He smelled so good, but I felt kind of bad. This isn't like with Brett, since I really do like Tyler, and I feel guilty for taking his money. After that, I went and found Rachel and the others and paid them back. I thought my friends would be okay with me now, but turns out they weren't. Whenever I passed them at school, they sneered and gossiped about me. This sucked, but at least I had Tyler. We started hanging out all the time, and he was so sweet and funny. He also offered to lend me more money, but I refused as I didn't want to borrow any more than I needed to ever again. Then, that evening, I was scrolling through my social media account when I saw some posts about me. Oh no. They were saying how I took advantage of other people's sympathy to get money. I was freaking out. So I quickly replied to the thread saying it wasn't like that, and my life was hard. But then Rachel commented, "Here she goes, playing the victim again." The next day at school was awful. I felt like everyone was gawping at me. But as long as Tyler was by my side, it's all okay. I was chilling with him by the soccer field when Brett walked over, an angry look on his face. "You used me, didn't you? You never liked me at all. You just wanted my money." I stared at him open-mouthed, not knowing what to say. "That's real low, Shannon. Hey, Ty, if I was you, I'd stay away from her, unless you want to end up in debt." He walked off.
Is what he said true?
No. Well, yes, but it was the past. It isn't like that with you, I promise. Tyler shook his head, then said,
I didn't think you were like that.
Then he grabbed his stuff and left. This was awful. Not only had I lost all my friends, but now I'd lost the boy I truly cared for, too. After that, everyone ignored me at school. It felt horrible to know I was that unpopular, and I couldn't wait to finish school. When my graduation day finally arrived and I went up to get my certificate, suddenly, Rachel rushed up onto the stage and grabbed the mic. "Hey everyone, I think it's only fair that you all know the truth about Shannon. She uses her friend's sympathy to get money out of us. She even dated a guy just so she could make him buy her everything she wanted. Oh my God. All the teachers, students, and even my mom were staring at me. I felt like I was gonna faint from shame, so I frantically pushed past everyone and raced out of there. When I got home, I locked myself away in my room and cried into my pillow. I was never leaving my room again. The shame was too much. A little later, my mom knocked on my door. Then she came into my room and perched on the edge of my bed.
Honey, I'm just wondering why you did those things.
I told Mom everything about Florian tricking me, how I took money off my friends and used Brett. Then afterward, I took a box from under my bed, opened it, and told Mom it was for her. In it was a new safety outfit for her work, as well as some new casual clothes, too. Your work outfit is already worn out, and I want you to have nice clothes. I know we aren't wealthy or anything, but you work so hard, and you deserve nice things.
Sweetie, thank you. But you don't have to buy me anything. I know it's been a struggle since your dad passed away. But it's never okay to play the victim to take advantage of people like that.
Then she hugged me.
What's done is already done. Now the only thing you can do is apologize to them all, then start a new life. Become a better person.
So that whole summer, I did just that. I apologized to all of my friends, every single one of them. Well, except Tyler, as he was away all summer. Then I went to college for a fresh start. I swear, I won't make the same mistakes again. I've learned my lesson on that one. Oh, I'm so nervous. Tyler is in the city this weekend and he's agreed to meet me. Oh my God. There he is. This is it. I finally have the chance to apologize to him. I hope he forgives me and sees how much I regret what I did. This time away from him made my feelings grow even stronger. Oh boy, I just miss him so much. He still looks at me with that soft smile and such sparkle in his eyes. I can't lose him this time. And I won't. Wish me luck.
Hi, Melanie here, and I'm hanging on the edge of my seat to hear the results of this year's science fair. I know I might not look like a typical studious girl, but I'm definitely serious about school. Ooh, 1 second. The winner of West High Science Fair 2023 is Harry Silver. That means the runner-up is Melanie D'Angelo. Congratulations to you both. Please come onto the stage for your awards. Man, I can't believe I'm second to him again. We'd been literally swapping first and second place on every leaderboard since we were kids. Ugh, so unfair. Look at him. All he did was partying and pulling silly pranks, yet he's still on the honor roll, while I had to study day and night to maintain my straight A's. Mom's taking quite long. What's that commotion over there? This calls for celebration. What do you guys think? Olive Garden? Yes! Geez, can you keep it down just a smidge? Come to think of it, people like Harry just have it all, while I only have Mom by my side. Oh, she came just in time! Dad left us for another woman a while ago, so my mom had been struggling every day being a single mom. She must be really sad and lonely, so I'd never mention Dad anymore. Poor her. The more I felt for Mom, the angrier I was at Dad. Only my bestie, Izzy, knew about this, cause, you know, it's hard to open up when you're from a broken home. Luckily, there's one thing in this world that could raise my spirits, as well as my heartbeat, in these dark, gloomy days. My dreamy crush, Cameron. Last year of middle school was coming to an end, so I gotta make a move with Cameron fast. The problem was, every time I got close to him, that party pooper appeared out of nowhere to make fun of me. He kept calling me melanin, cause that's what you lack, and bothered me nonstop. We had never gotten along, but seriously? What's wrong with him lately? He picked on me way too much, and why only me? I can't believe everyone thinks he's a model student. To me, Harry's no more than the most annoying bug. All right, hair, makeup, pearly white teeth, check. I'm giving it another go today, waiting for Cameron at his locker with my love letter in hand. As soon as I saw his gorgeous face, I took a deep breath, then put up the sweetest smile, but all of a sudden, someone messed up my hair from behind. Ouch! I turned around to see the culprit. Harry, you look hot. And it generates electricity too. Now you can charge your phone with your hair. Thank me later. Oh my god! Nobody should see this Medusa hairdo. My plan to confess failed again before it even started. All thanks to that clown Harry. Wait, isn't that my dad? He was walking out of the principal's office with a much younger woman and a boy my age. From what I gathered, they're saying that his son would go here. Seeing how my dad's starting a new life with his new family, I couldn't help but feel sorry for Mom. This is all that woman's fault. If she just disappeared, things could go back to the way they were. But that's merely a wish, and me and Mom just have to put up with this boring, unhappy life day by day. Voodoo for dummies? Was some higher power listening to me? This sounds like an answer to my problem. I ordered the book immediately. I started studying all kinds of spells and rituals in it as soon as the package arrived. Voodoo dolls? Interesting. The next day, I went to find Izzy ASAP. Hey, I'm thinking of using a voodoo doll on my dad's new wife to bring my parents back together. What do you think? Does it really work? I don't think. Yo, Wednesday. Sorry. Yo, knock off Wednesday. Harry Silver, you are so dead. But wait a second. You know what? We can test it out. Harry would be the perfect guinea pig. What? Him? He's just being his playful self. What if voodoo actually works? Harry doesn't deserve it? Well, I don't think so. Let's make a doll for our little preppy boy then. Crocheting a doll's easy. However, the tricky thing was getting my subject's hair, and you bet I won't get physically close to Harry even if someone pays me to. So I got this, a Ouija board. It will help me figure out the code for his locker. There must be a few strands stuck on the fancy hairbrush that he kept inside. Ugh, but none of the combos worked. This is the 10th time already. How about this? There we go. But there were only books inside. Boring. Then the soccer team's changing room it is. I will definitely find something on his uniform. Let's see. Harry Silver. There it is. Aha! Gotcha! I was about to flee the scene when I suddenly saw a boy with only a towel around his waist. Ah! I sprinted to the door and dashed straight through the hallway. That was close. Okay, I still had a voodoo doll to finish. And it's done. I excitedly show Izzy last night's work. Pretty good, huh? It has Harry's hair, too. What? How do you know it's really Harry's? What if it's somebody else's? Well, Hey, did you hear some perv with panda eyes was creeping around the boys' changing room yesterday? Go away. But don't worry. Starting today, we'll take turns guarding the entrance to catch them. Oh, what a coincidence. You fit the culprit's description perfectly, Melanin. But you're definitely not that pervy, are you? I was so mad I felt smoke coming out of my ears. I wish my gaze could kill that brat. Mel, you're squeezing the doll's arm. It's gonna come off. Whoops, my bad. Next time I saw Harry, he had bandages all over his right arm. Hang on, did I do that? Feeling guilty and curious, I approached him. Hey, what's wrong with your arm? It's been in pain since yesterday for no reason. My doctor said nothing's wrong, but I kept feeling like someone's squeezing it really hard. Ugh, there it goes again. Oh, spooky. It means the doll is truly magical. I immediately came running to tell Izzy, and of course, she was shocked too. But hold up. Nosy Artie? How long has he been standing here? This guy clearly had heard everything. He kept reaching for my doll. No way. He'd tell the whole school about it. Then suddenly, Harry sat down next to me. Melanie, my arm hurts. Feed me. What's he pulling now? Can't he see I'm in the middle of something? Right at that moment, Artie snatched my doll. Leave it to me. No, Artie, no! Not with milk in his mouth. Oops, sorry, I felt so nauseous all of a sudden. That was more than enough to make all of us firm believers. But maybe I should stop. I do feel guilty for dragging Harry into this. That afternoon, when I was about to throw the doll in the trash can, I saw Cameron walk towards me. Did Christmas come early? Hey, I was wondering if you're... Yes, I've been waiting so long for this day. An occultist? What? I mean, Artie was going off about a voodoo doll of yours, so I thought you might know a thing or two about love spells. But if that's not true, I'm sorry. What do you need a love spell for? Then he revealed he wanted to put a spell on his crush, Regina. So all this time, I had no chance with him at all? But hey, a love spell sounds like a brilliant idea. It could ensure my parents' reunion too. Sure thing, but I'll need your hair as well as Regina's. Also, some of your personal items for the spell to work. Obviously, I'll use his stuff, but in a love spell for me. And you know what I gave him? It's all junk with some of my poodle's fur. A few days later, I found a gift box in my locker from Cameron. My spell worked! I'm about to have a boyfriend and reunite my family. But before I could carry out that long-awaited plan, Artie came to me with a difficult request, making a voodoo doll of Brad, some transfer student who already established himself as a vicious tough guy. That sounds dangerous, and I already promised myself not to use voodoo anymore. Don't believe me? See for yourself. Then, I followed him and witnessed another student being picked on by a much bigger guy. Hey, isn't he Dad's stepson? Okay, this Brad guy deserves it, so I agreed to help Artie. The next day, I approached Brad after class where he usually messed with other students. I managed to sneak up behind him and get one strand of hair. Oh no, busted! I quickly put the hair in the doll. This better work. Come on! Why isn't it working? And why now? Pesky little thing. Stop! I know those voices. Thank goodness. Touch her and you'll regret it. Yeah, we'll call the police. Brad just scoffed and left. Phew, what are you both doing here? And Harry, I thought your arm hurt. Then, Harry and Izzy finally told me that voodoo had never been effective. Izzy knew that Harry only picked on me because he liked me? That's why she tried to stop me from using voodoo on him. But she couldn't, so she then told Harry everything. To be honest, I found your attempts quite amusing, so I acted like they were successful to humor you and myself. I was gonna stop though, but when you were being sweet to me and asked about my arm, I decided to keep it up. Oh my god! My bestie had been friends with my mortal enemy all along. Behind my back? Am I a joke to you? Why are you here? To make fun of me even more than you already did? Because I got worried when I heard you're going after Brad. Melanie, you're the smartest girl in school. I don't understand why you're doing all these dumb gimmicks. Yeah, you've been acting strange lately. Since when are you superstitious? What other choice do I have? Voodoo or at whatever cost? I need to get my parents back together, and that punk Brad is my dad's stepson. He deserves whatever comes to him for ruining my life. And you know what else? Both of you get out of my sight for good! Then I stormed off. After that day, I no longer talked to Izzy, and Harry's relentless pestering finally stopped. But honestly, it felt a bit empty without them, especially with the upcoming school field trip. Of course, I'm still coming. Who needs them anyway? This is the chance for Cameron and I to be closer now that we're talking on the regs. It's gonna be the best trip ever. I'd never been the outdoorsy type, but does camping involve this many physical tasks? Almost done. What on earth is that? Isn't he under my love spell already? I mean, he even gave me a present. I was still in shock when Cameron came over to help with the tent. Thank you. No need to. I can't thank you enough. That spell of yours worked wonders. What does he mean by that? Then, out of nowhere, Izzy tapped on my shoulder. I've tried to tell you. Those two have been flirting for a while now. I guess Cameron just needed your spell as a little spiritual push. That means none of these has ever worked? There's absolutely no hope of bringing my family back? Feeling devastated, I burst into tears and ran off. I was running without looking and bumped into Brad? Melanie, right? Just who I want to see. Or should I say, my dear stepsister. Your mama sent you here. Let go of me and piss off. I wonder how pathetic she had to be to have her husband walk out on her. If this was any other time, I would have fought back. But after all that just happened, I've lost all of my will to do anything now. Out of the blue, I saw someone charge at Brad and land a brutal blow on his face. I said I'd make you regret touching her. I had to stop Harry before he messed Brad's face up beyond recognition. It's time we got out of here. Why did you come help me after everything I said? I'm kinda used to your coldness. Besides, my love language is following you around and teasing you until you notice or get mad at me. Silly. I know. On a different note, I thought you knew that voodoo was useless. Yeah, so I thought of a love spell to get my parents back together. Then my family will be whole and happy again. But I know it now. There's no such thing as magic. Why not? Magic is alive and well inside you, and it is called forgiving. It cannot punish those who hurt you and your loved ones, but it can help you let go of your pains and sufferings. What are you trying to say? I mean, no magic can make your dad come back, but someday the pain he caused you won't ache anymore. Eventually, your mom and you will heal and lead a fulfilling life without him. I never took this goofy guy for the philosophical and mature type, but I guess he's right. I've been so caught up in my own bitterness that I didn't realize moving on was an option. When my mom picked me up, I decided to finally ask her about my dad. Unexpectedly, Mom told me that of course it was sad at first, but she's actually doing fine these days. Life's supposed to have its ups and downs. As long as we welcome them with open arms, everything will turn out all right in the end. After all, your father will have the life he wants, while we get on with our lives. Turned out, I was the only one chasing the past all this time, when what I actually needed was closure. Mom's words were more than enough to put this grieving period behind me. My last year as a middle schooler was quite eventful. Brad was no longer a problem since he got a taste of Harry's fist. Did I mention that we became a trio of best friends? For now, at least. Harry never stopped his shenanigans, but instead of getting annoyed like before, I found him quite adorable and endearing. Oh, just kiss already! Izzy!
Hi, that's me, Maxine, hiding behind some bushes and spying on a girl. Don't get me wrong, I don't have a crush on her, nor am I a total psychopath. I'm just doing a favor for my mate Damon. But if I'd known how crazy this was all going to get, I'd never have agreed to help him. It all started when Damon fell in love with this girl, Sophie. She had this mysterious charm that made him want to talk to her right away. And he did. She didn't even glance at him. She just walked away. Ouch. I didn't like her one bit. She was so stuck up. But Damon didn't give up that easily. He tried all kinds of tricks to get her attention, even waiting for the bus with her, even though he had a car. Nothing worked, though, and this made him miserable. He begged for my help, but I said, "No way." Then he said, "Aw, come on, Maxine, you're a girl, so just befriend her or something. Maybe you can find out what she likes, her fave foods, music, etc. Then I can try to impress her. Please, I'm begging you. I'll even lend you my Nintendo Switch for a month if you agree. You can't say no to that." He had me at that. I'd do anything to get a Nintendo Switch. Fine, it's a deal, but don't blame me if it doesn't work. So after class that day, I searched for Sophie. She was at the bus stop, and I was about to approach her when suddenly she walked away. I decided to follow her, and on the way, she stopped to help an old lady cross the road. Wow, I was surprised. For someone with such a cold face, she had a pretty warm heart. Maybe she wasn't so bad after all. After that, she started walking towards the park, and by then it was starting to get dark. What was she doing? She sat down on a bench in a creepy part of the park, almost like she was waiting for someone. I hid behind a bush so she wouldn't see me, but I was totally freaked out. Suddenly, 2 guys appeared and started talking to her, but they didn't seem like her acquaintances. Oh my gosh, she looked panicked. I had to help. I quickly shouted, "Help! Officer, please help! There are 2 guys bothering us!" Obviously, there was no officer, but it worked. The 2 guys ran off, and I rushed over to make sure Sophie was okay. She was surprised to see me, but then she hugged me and thanked me for saving her. Her whole body was shaking. She must have been terrified. I walked with her back to our dorm, and she told me how she liked to come to the park at night because it was so peaceful. I told her it was clearly dangerous and that she probably shouldn't go alone anymore. Then we exchanged numbers, and after that we became quite close. Close enough. That was a few days later. I told her Damon had a big crush on her and asked if she'd maybe go on a date with him, but she just shook her head and said she wasn't ready. Her eyes looked sad, so I didn't push it any further. Maybe she'd just gone through a bad breakup? I didn't ask her again, but one night I was heading to her dorm for a movie night when I heard 2 people fighting. It was Sophie and some guy, and she was crying. It looked like the guy was about to hit her, so I ran over and said, "Hey, what the heck do you think you're doing? Leave her alone or I'll call the cops." He just laughed at me and said to Sophie, "We're not done yet." Then he stormed off. I asked Sophie if she was okay and who that guy was. Then she told me how he was her ex and that he kept trying to get back together with her, but she wasn't interested. As she told me this, she started to cry and said, "Because of him, I've become so scared and anxious. I'm even too scared to sleep at night." I felt so sorry for her and told her I was here for her and that she could call me anytime. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said that because that's exactly what she started doing. Every night she'd call me, and we'd end up chatting until 3 a.m. I was so exhausted, but I wanted to help her. She seemed so anxious all the time. Damon knew we chatted a lot, but he'd stopped asking about Sophie. It seems he'd lost interest and was more worried about me looking like a zombie from The Walking Dead. You seriously need some sleep, Maxine. Leave Sophie be. She's clearly got issues. It's probably best to not get too involved. Easier said than done, though. But that night I decided not to answer her call. I went to bed early, and when I woke up the next morning, I had about 20 missed calls and 50 texts from her. Oh my gosh! Some of them said she was so lonely and that I'd abandoned her. Then one said, if you don't pick up, then I will end it all. Okay, this was crazy. I immediately called her, but she wouldn't pick up. I rushed to her dorm, but nobody answered. I was panicking by then and bashing on the door, screaming, Sophie, open this darn door! But there was still no answer. I was terrified she'd done something bad, so I asked some students to help me bash down the door, and that's when she opened the door. I've never been so happy to see someone alive. I ran over to hug her, but she looked so annoyed. What are you doing here? You're making a scene, she said. What? I was so worried about you. You said you were going to... But she interrupted me and said, you need to get some sleep, Maxine. You seem insane. I couldn't believe it. After all those calls and texts, she was the insane one, not me. I didn't feel like yelling back, so I just left her. I needed some space. She tried to apologize to me over the next few days, but I didn't want to be around her. She even texted me saying if I wouldn't be her friend anymore, then life wasn't worth living. I was so tired of her threats, so I just ignored them. And then things got worse. A few days later, Damon and I were studying together when Sophie called me and said she was in the hospital. She told me that she had a brain tumor and they'd just done a biopsy to see if it was malignant or benign. I couldn't believe it. She asked me if I could pick her up, and I said, of course. This was so scary. I told Damon, and he just said, I think she's making it up, Maxine. How could she suddenly have a tumor? You guys just had a fight, and suddenly she's in the hospital? Come on, think about it. I was shocked. Damon, how could you? You're such a jerk. Then I ran off and arrived at the hospital to find Sophie sitting outside wearing a hospital cap. She said her hair had been shaved off for the biopsy, and I asked to see the scar, but she wouldn't show me. She said she'd get a headache if she took it off. I was just glad that she was okay, and gave her a ride home. We made up, and I decided to look after her for the day. She seemed so weak. I couldn't bear to see her suffering. I called Damon to tell him that he owed me an apology and told him about Sophie. And he just said, oh, wow, okay, sorry, hope she's okay then. But then a few days later, he called me and said, listen, Maxine, Sophie's a liar. She didn't have a biopsy. I bumped into her earlier and her cap fell off, and she has a full head of hair under there. No way it would grow back that fast. Why would she lie to me? I didn't get it. I needed to know the truth, so after class I went to her dorm. She opened the door right away, and sure enough, she had all her hair intact. She probably knew Damon had told me, and so hadn't even bothered to keep up the lie. This made me furious. Straight away, I started shouting at her. Honestly, Sophie, what is wrong with you? Why would you pretend to be sick like that? Friends don't do that. Sophie grabbed my hand and said, Maxine, I'm sorry. I was desperate. I only did it because I missed you and wanted you to care about me again. I took it too far, though. Please forgive me. Are you crazy? I screamed. I was worried sick about you. Are you sure there's not something wrong with you? Sophie started grinning in a weird way and said, the only thing wrong with me is that I'm in love with you, Maxine. She wouldn't let go of my hand, and I just stared in shock. What did you say? You heard me. I love you. Then she started to manically laugh and said, I've loved you since the day we first met. I knew you were following me, so I pretended to be in danger so you'd come rescue me. Even my ex-boyfriend was fake. He was just one of my friends pretending. Can't you see? I'm willing to do just about anything to get your attention. If that's not love, then what is? This couldn't be happening. I tried to stay as calm as possible and said, "Listen, Sophie, I'm flattered. Really, I am. But I'm straight. I see you as just a friend, okay?" But Sophie wouldn't give up. She grabbed my hands again and said, "How do you know that? You didn't even try to love me yet. Just give me a chance and I'll show you what true love looks like." I tried to let go of her hands, but it was impossible. Sophie grabbed my hands tighter and tighter that it even began to hurt. She looked me in the eyes and, oh my God, it's like I couldn't recognize her anymore. She looked like a crazy person, like a psychopath. Then she began to speak in a really creepy tone. "You can't get away from me. You're mine now." I was so scared. I needed to get out of here, so I pushed her really hard that she fell on the ground and I ran like a mad woman out of there until I was back in my dorm. Then I called the police, but by the time they reached her dorm, she was gone. I told them what happened and showed them a photo of her, and you won't believe it. Apparently, I wasn't the only girl Sophie had attacked. There were other girls too. After that night, I was terrified. Everywhere I went, it felt like someone was watching me. Then one evening, after my shift at work, I was walking through the park back to my dorm when I heard someone up ahead. I knew right away it was Sophie, but she wasn't alone. She was with some guys. They spotted me and started heading towards me, but I ran as fast as I could, and luckily the police were just outside the park and went in and arrested them. Sounds like a coincidence, right? Well, it wasn't. Sophie's not the only one who can fool people. I knew Sophie was stalking me, so I told the police, and together we created this plan to catch her, and voila, it worked. Sophie, if you're watching this, I wish you all the best, but let's not meet ever again. That's enough stalking for one lifetime.
Hey, it's Haley back again. So, if you remember in the last part of my story, my best friend Kurt turned into a jealous jerk, all because he didn't get the opening solo in the concert. And being the sweet and caring guy that he is, Eric took me out to cheer me up. We were chatting about all things on Earth. He really helped ease my mind. But suddenly, there was an awkward silence. Then Eric said,
Haley, these last few months getting to know you have been so amazing. I was wondering if you'd consider, being my girlfriend?
"Oh my God, I never expected him to say that." I stared at him open-mouthed.
So?
He looked at me. That's when I realized that he was still waiting for my reply. It'd be a lie to say that I haven't thought about him in that way before. In fact, at that moment, I was so happy. I just wanted to give him the biggest hug right away. But instead, I clumsily told him to give me a little time. It was just a slip of the tongue due to me being nervous. But before I could correct myself, I saw his reaction. He couldn't even keep his cool anymore, and his hopeful face turned into an obvious frown. He looked like a little sulky puppy. Why does he have to be so cute? He told me,
Of course. But that means I still have a chance, right?
I couldn't help but smile and winked. Maybe. Then he drove me home. Before I got out of the car, I whispered to him, "Yes, I'll be your girlfriend," and quickly kissed him on the cheek, then ran as fast as possible into my house. My heart was beating so fast, and I peeked through the window to see him dancing and smiling beside his car. My boyfriend was just the cutest. We started dating and soon became the it couple in swing club. The other kids were always commenting on how perfect we were together. Everything was going so well. I not only had a solo in the concert, but I'd also get to duet with Eric, and our relationship was growing from strength to strength. Every day, I woke up to his good morning text, which included a voice message of him singing some sweet tunes for me. Then later at school, he gave me my favorite candy and a bottle of water to keep me hydrated throughout practice. He was just the best. The only downside in my life was Kurt, who barely spoke to me since the backpack incident. I missed him like crazy, but there was no excuse for the way he was acting, as I hadn't done anything wrong. I was just going to give him space and hope he'd eventually come around. Finally, the day of the concert arrived, And whoa! Miss Anderson had chosen to mention my performance, complete with my picture, to promote the event in the local press. I was so happy and proud of myself. Now, I just had to make sure I didn't mess it up. Luckily, I didn't. Even though I was super nervous, the duet with Eric went amazingly. I was so proud of him for not letting his nerves get in the way. The concert was a success as a whole. We were on the local press and news again after that. And guess who was featured on them the most? Yes, it was Haley Miller again. Then, a few days later, there were even rumors circulating school that a representative from a record label in LA was at the concert and that they had their eye on someone. That's it! It had to be me, right? I sang my heart out, and even kids I didn't know were coming up to me and telling me how I was the star of the show. I was so excited to go to the club meeting and hear my name announced. I walked into the room with a huge smile on my face. Then Miss Anderson made an announcement. As you all know, it's been leaked out that a label representative is interested in one of you. Well, I can now confirm that this is true. And the person in question is our very own Eric Jones. Congratulations, Eric. Eric looked so shocked, but not as me. Thousands of things went through my head. I was so overwhelmed, while the other kids clapped and cheered, and I just forced myself to do the same. I know he's my boyfriend, and he's very talented, but as you see, I'd been the one singing the closing solo. I was the one having strangers congratulate me, and I was the one on the press. While everyone was praising Eric, I swiftly left and went home. Eric kept on texting and calling me, but I ignored them all. I just needed some time alone to process my feelings. I didn't want to feel jealous of him, but I couldn't help it. I knew it was wrong, but wait. No, maybe it was not. I had the right to be upset, since I too had worked so hard for it, right? That night, I felt so down that I even skipped dinner and locked myself in my room with all these thoughts. Failure sucks. And sure, it's not easy to face it, but I knew I had to accept the truth. Sooner or later, Eric did nothing wrong, and he deserved it. So I shouldn't make him feel bad for achieving his dream. So I sent Eric a message arranging to meet him tomorrow. I should at least properly congratulate Eric and apologize to him for my childish reaction, right? We met in the park, by the duck pond. Eric was already waiting for me, and I noticed how he looked so sad. I walked over to him and said, "Hi, Eric. Look, I've been a brat, and I'm so sorry. I was just disappointed in myself, so I wasn't ready to talk. But I'm okay now, and for sure. You deserve this opportunity. I know that. I'm so happy for you. I truly am." I held his hands and smiled, trying to cheer him up. He replied,
"It's okay, Haley. It must have been hard for you. I know you meant well."
He smiled back.
"Just so you know, I've turned the offer down anyway. I'm not ready to leave this town, or, you, just yet."
Whoa, this was crazy. As if he'd actually turned down the opportunity of a lifetime for me. Then he continued,
"Besides, I'm not confident enough yet. I still get such bad stage fright. I know this is for the best."
I hugged him and told him that I respected his choice and that even if he wanted to take this offer, he'd still have 100% of my support. To be honest, I did feel such a big relief, so things could carry on to be the same again. We're back as normal students again and wouldn't have to worry about dealing with a long-distance relationship. But then, I kept thinking about it. The more I thought, the more this made no sense. Nerves or not, he couldn't give up on his dream, could he? If that was me, I would never, ever let that chance slip away. My time is yet to come, but it's Eric's time now. I had to tell him to accept the offer before it's too late. I rang him, and as soon as he answered, I blurted out, "You have to accept the offer, else you'll regret it forever. Don't miss the chance just because of me. I'm fine with it and fully support you. I'm serious." Eric told me to stop overthinking, and that it was too late anyway, as the guy from the label, Will, had a flight back to LA that evening. Oh no! I didn't know what to do. All I knew was I needed to do something, so I immediately called Miss Anderson and giving her a brief sum-up of the situation and asking her for Will's number. She sent it over to me, and I tried calling him, but there was no answer. Okay, at least I knew he hadn't boarded yet. Time was of the essence, so I immediately took my mom's car keys and drove to the airport in search of this guy that I'd never even met. I checked for flights to LA, and thank God there's only one, and it still hadn't departed. I crossed my fingers as I called Will's number again. To my utter relief, he picked up. I rambled out who I was, and he told me we could meet, as he hadn't gone through security yet. Phew! I met Will in front of the departure board. I briefly introduced myself again, then he asked me,
So, what can I do for you?
I immediately muttered out, "Please give Eric another chance. He's so talented, and since joining the swing club, he's gotten so much better. I'm positive that with professional training, he will grow even more. You saw something in him, so please give him another shot. He won't disappoint you. I promise." Will was silent for a second. I got impatient, so I added, "He refused your offer the first time because he wasn't thinking straight. He really wants to sing. Singing is his passion." Finally, Will said,
Okay, all right. Tell him he has 5 days to prepare, and he has to come to LA.
Then he gave me his card and went to the check-in counter. I'd done it! This was crazy! But I was so relieved that I'd succeeded. I doubt I would have been able to live with myself. Phew! It was super late, but this didn't matter. I went straight to Eric's house and told him everything. He was so shocked and touched, and also worried for me for driving such a long way to the airport alone at night to do all this for him. Then he hugged me tight and thanked me. But then I realized that we only had 5 days left together, so we promised each other that we would make those 5 days memorable. In the mornings, I would help Eric practice his singing, and in the evenings, we would go out. Eric asked me to make a list of all the things I would like us to do. I just wanted to be with him and treasure every second we're together, so I said, I just want to ride the giant wheel. Eric looked a bit confused at first. Then he said,
Is that all? We could do something else if you wanted.
Nah. I shook my head. The giant wheel sounds perfect. Besides, what's better than seeing the town I care about with my extremely cute boyfriend? So, the day before Eric left for the starry heights of LA, we went to the giant wheel, which was in an amusement park on the outskirts of town. We bought some hot dogs and ate them while riding it. When we reached the top, the view up there was just beautiful. We held hands and enjoyed it together. Then Eric asked me why I chose the giant wheel to hang out. I replied, well, when I was little, my family used to come here, and my parents always told me the story of how they met at this giant wheel. It was in the evening. My mother was already in one of the cabins, and then my father came in too. He didn't know somebody was already in there, but when he noticed it was already taken, it was too late. He couldn't get out. And so, 2 strangers had to sit together in a super small wheel cabin. At first, it was super awkward. But then they started chatting, and from that moment on, their love story began. My mother always told me to bring someone special here. She said this place has something magical, because it could make 2 strange people fall in love. So that's why I brought you here, 'cause you are my special one. Eric looked at me with wide open eyes.
I will come back and help you fulfill your dream to become a professional singer. Please, wait for me.
Then he kissed me, and it was the most magical moment of my life. Why did this fence have to be so high? Oh no, that didn't sound good. It was time to get out of here. But, I seemed to be stuck. Suddenly, a security team was blinding me with a flashlight and telling me not to move. Not that I could anyway. They dragged me down. Then the next thing I knew, I was being pushed into a chair and interrogated by security guards. But all they got out of me was silence. A few minutes later, Mr. and Mrs. Langston showed up. Yeah, they're the wealthy couple who owns this mansion. They're the people that I was looking for.
I suppose I did owe them an explanation. I'm sorry for this disturbance, but it's not what you think. I saw your job advert for a housemaid, and I wanted to apply, but the guard said I was too young and refused to let me in. The thing is, my dad has a rare heart condition, and if he doesn't receive treatment soon, then chances are he won't make it. I really don't have any other choice, so please can I have the job and also 6 months salary advance? Right at that moment, a girl my age fell into the room, peered at the Langstons, then started laughing.
Carla, this is not acceptable. Aren't you ashamed of your appalling results for the Francis Academy entrance exam? You should be studying hard to redeem yourself, not out partying at this hour.
This Carla girl just rolled her eyes at them, then wobbly walked off. I noticed Mr. Langston comforting his wife, who seemed to be in much distress at the girl's inconsiderate behaviors. So this must be their daughter then. They sure seem to take her education seriously. And she applied to my school. That gave me an idea. You know, if you want to improve Carla's academic performance, I can help you. They both gave me skeptical looks, so I showed them my academic records and told them how I was a valedictorian and had successfully scored a scholarship at Francis Academy. On hearing about my achievements, any apprehensions they had soon faded. And so, they'd come up with a plan, a risky one. They would pay for my dad's hospital fees until he fully recuperated if I took on the identity of Carla and flew to South Korea to study at an international high school there, while Carla would take my place and enroll at Francis Academy just as they wished. This deal sounded like the answer to my prayers, but I knew it would be tricky. Pretending to be somebody else in a completely different country was beyond my understanding, so I agreed to do it, but only on 2 more conditions. First, a guardian must be present, who would take care of all my paperwork and stuff. Second, after I completed the deal and returned, the Langstons had to help me get into my dream school, the prestigious GBA University, obviously. They gave it a thought, then shook my hand in agreement. It looked like we had a deal! The next thing I knew, I was in an elite neighborhood in Seoul, Korea. Whoa! Talk about luxury! So this was what it felt like to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Mr. Preston dropped me off at school and repeatedly told me not to draw attention to myself. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, Mr. Preston is the Langstons' lawyer, and according to the contract, he's also my guardian. He seems oh so serious, but I guess he's okay. Whoa, this school looked so modern. The architecture was a work of art all in itself. I wandered around the endless corridors and tried to find my class. Everyone seemed quite friendly, and the class president, Minjun, even gave me a guided tour. All the students' outstanding paintings, photos, and models were displayed all across the campus. Countless classrooms of different subjects, from science to art, just made me gasp in awe. I was admiring the artwork when suddenly Minjun blurted out,
Sorry, I've got to go. Miss Lee is looking for me. It'll only take a few minutes, so wait here for me, 'kay?
Then he rushed off. So I lingered around the hall. That's when I spotted a group of girls nearby. I recognized the one from my last class. I'm sure her name was Isabella. I was about to walk over to greet them when I realized they had this one girl cornered and were making fun of her hairband. Ugh! Where did you get that horrid thing from? I suppose it must have come from some thrift shop or something. I heard that's where poor people shop. Ugh, this whole thing disgusted me. They outcasted someone just 'cause she didn't come from ridiculously rich households like them. I knew that poor girl's feeling all too well. I gotta help her. But I didn't want to get anyone's back up and draw attention to myself. What could I do? Ah, got it! Hey, the teacher's coming. I'll stall her for you guys. Run! My plan worked a treat, as Isabella and her friends nodded at me, then rushed off. I then went over to the girl asking if she was okay. Get away from me! She flinched me off her and then ran off. Huh? I was only trying to help. As I turned around, I saw Minjin looking at me. A bit impressed, I think. He told me that the students here were divided into 2 groups. 90% are rich, and the remaining 10% are poor kids entering under scholarships. Most of the students are quite friendly to each other. Well, except those I just witnessed. Isabella's part of the rich kid group who think their upbringings make them superior to others. She's often mean to the 10% group as she believes they don't deserve to be here. And as you can guess, that girl they upset, she's called Susie. She's in the 10% group, and she's the smartest student in our year. What nonsense! School is school. We're here to study and should all be treated equally.
Too right, new girl. I knew there was something different about you.
The next day, when class was over, Isabella tapped on my shoulder and thanked me for the warning. Then she asked me to join her group for lunch. I was about to politely refuse when Minjin appeared and asked me to join him. Phew. Thanks to Minjin, I had an excuse to quickly flee the scene. However, I did look back and see that Isabella was giving this offended look. After that, Minjin and I started hanging out more. We soon became close friends, and we both decided that the dynamics around here needed to change. So, we set out to help the 10% Club. One lunchtime, Isabella and her clan purposely bumped into this boy, causing him to spill food all over himself. While they laughed and pointed at him, I rushed over there, took the food, and slammed it onto Minjin's face. Minjin immediately understood my intention. Then he also took a handful of noodles and smeared it all over Isabella. Cue the canteen erupting into one big, messy food fight. Another time, the school was preparing for a cultural fair. One boy from the 10% group had this awesome idea to open a food stall serving traditional dishes from different countries. Everyone agreed, apart from, yep, you guessed it, Isabella and her snooty besties. Such a peasant! Too used to working as a waiter to serve others, huh? I winked at Minjin. Then we stayed behind and secretly wrote Isabella and her friends' names on the list of participants and submitted it to the teacher. Now, they had no choice but to serve food at the super crowded fair. The funniest part was they finally got a taste of their own medicine when the 10% group made the most of ordering them around and complaining.
Ew, this ratatouille is too bland. Add some more salt.
And this milk tea is too sweet. Start a new batch with less sugar. I have to admit, I was enjoying watching the mean kids squirm. But I guess my enjoyment hadn't gone unnoticed, as afterward, Isabella approached me. Those peasant kids aren't at the same level as you and I. I suggest you put more care into who you choose to associate with, or you can end up being treated like they are. Whatever. I just rolled my eyes, walked away from her, then continued to hang out with my friends in the 10% group. Isabella and her minions gave me dirty looks, but due to the Langstons' name and fortune, that's all they could do. Just like that, my high school years passed by. I had some great friends. And guess what? Yep, I was now dating Minjin. I loved being here in South Korea, and I'd even grown fond of Preston, who, despite being a grumpy gut, now felt like family to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I missed my family back home like crazy. But Dad was getting better now, and we regularly FaceTimed. As amazing as my life was now, deep down I always felt like I was living in a dream. None of this truly belonged to me, and everything would be over as soon as I left this place. And eventually, my last week here arrived. As I was studying for my last ever exam, the SAT, I received a message from an unknown number. I know your secret. Drop out of the test, else I'll expose you. What? Who could it be? I called the number and a distorted voice answered the phone. I begged them to tell me why they were doing this, but they just replied,
You don't need to know. Just do as I said.
Then they hung up. Luckily for me, Preston isn't just an amazing lawyer, he's also a tech genius. Thanks to him, we tracked down the location of the phone.
I bet you're just as curious as I am to find out who it was. And now was the moment of truth. Huh? No way! Standing there looking startled was Susie! Why would she do this to me? It made no sense. I mean, I know we weren't friends, but I had nothing against her. Why did she despise me to the point of willing to ruin my life like this? Please let me explain. Ever since you arrived here, I lost my top spot at school, which means I've also lost a full scholarship to college. My family will never be able to afford it themselves, so I decided to investigate you. And that's when I found out that you were not the real Carla Langston, and you got paid by her parents to achieve all these academic records for her. I get why you're upset, but you didn't have to blackmail me. You don't strike me as someone who would do such a thing, so it's kind of disappointing that you did. I'm not. I'm a dead end, Irene. You have to understand. This is my entire future I'm losing here. And what for? So some rich, spoiled girl can get into college without doing any of the work? It seemed like I had a lot of thinking to do. In the end, I realized all I felt towards Susie was pity. This was all my fault, and it wasn't fair for someone as capable as Susie to have her entire future ruined because of me. So I had to be the bigger person here. I decided to ask the Langstons to give Susie the spot at GBA University, which was previously reserved for me as part of the deal. I mean, no worries. With this big brain, I could easily get in there on my own, right? And so, as soon as I was done with the test, I quietly left South Korea behind, without saying goodbye to anyone, including Minjin. Susie and I boarded the same flight back to the state. She couldn't help but thank me all the way there. And, well, let's just say, by the time the plane landed, we became good friends. But things didn't all go as swimmingly as I intended. It turned out Carla was even more negligent than first thought. All she managed to get was a high school diploma with shockingly bad grades. These were now my bad grades. My dream of attending a prestigious university was over. I'd just have to make do with a community college instead. A year flew by, and there wasn't a single day that I didn't think about South Korea or Minjin. I couldn't talk to him anymore. I promised the Langstons I'd cut all ties with my life there. I mean, Susie was the exception. One day while going out with Susie, she was showing me something interesting on Facebook, when we happened to scroll past a post of Minjin's, which read, "Finally I found you, the love of my life." My heart sank. Wow, it looked like he'd found someone else, while my heart still pined for him. But life still goes on, and a week after that, I was waiting for Susie outside of her college, daydreaming how this could have been my life. I saw a familiar face heading towards me. Was that Minjin? But wait! He was with a girl. Carla! Hang on, his Facebook post was about her? The love of his life was Carla? I couldn't do this right now, so I willed back tears as I took a deep breath and turned to walk away. But suddenly, I felt a hand pull me back. It was Minjin. "It's really you! I finally found you! I've been looking ever since graduation, and then my information led me here and to..." "Me!" Carla appeared next to him and smirked at me. Hey, who am I to stop the course of true love? So I told him your real name and helped him search for you. I mean, you're smart, so I figured you'd attend this university too. No, you messed up my grades, remember? Anyway, it doesn't matter anymore. I turned and looked at Minjin. I'm so sorry, Minjin. I wanted to tell you everything, but I couldn't. He took my hand in his and gave me this adoring smile. I found you. And trust me, right now, that's all that matters.
This was my first ever day at high school, and naturally, I'm owning it. I mean, who wouldn't want to befriend someone as beautiful and friendly as me? By lunchtime, I already had loads of new friends, and everyone flocked around me to hear stories about my amazing life. I soon became super popular at school. I was the gorgeous, enchanting blonde beauty. Do you know what the best part was? Boys started noticing me too. Even the captain of the basketball team, Mitch, took a liking to me. It makes sense. I mean, obviously, the best-looking boy in the school is going to be interested in the best-looking girl. And guess what? He's following me on my way home right now. Stalking me much, huh? Just wait for it. It seemed like my new life here in this school was going to be awesome. Well, Mandy. That was not an easy question, but you answered it perfectly. Great work. See? I'm not just a pretty face. I'm also one of the smartest students in the school. My admirers grew and grew. It seemed like everyone wanted to spend time with someone as perfect as me. Here, I was telling my new friends about how at first, people sometimes misjudge me, as I come from a well-educated and extremely successful family. My parents are super wealthy individuals who encourage me to always be the best version of myself and strive hard to never let them down. Hey, Mandy, pardon me, but how come you never wear designer clothes or use anything expensive? She looked down at my tatty-looking sneakers. I see why it might seem a little peculiar, but you see, I dress this way because my parents value the importance of being humble. That's also how I live. Goodness is better than beauty, right? Then I pulled out my phone and showed them the grades from my last school. Everyone gasped at me for being so excellent. I was loved, admired, adored. But of course, being this amazing meant that there's just gotta be quite a few kids being jealous of me. I mean, I suppose I couldn't blame them. After all, I dazzled like a diamond, while they were just dull and ordinary. One time after an exam, as soon as the teacher left, this girl called Layla stood up and said, "Mandy cheated! I saw it with my own eyes." I saw it too. She checked her phone during the exam. Everyone was gasping in shock. Right at that moment, the class president, Marshall, shouted, Hey, quit it! We all know Mandy's a great student. There's no way she cheated." Huh, that's what I'm talking about. Layla and Susan must be bursting with envy that their petty plan to ruin me didn't work. And the class president, he came out of nowhere to protect me. He must be another one of my many admirers. But, sorry, Marshall, I'm way out of your league. A girl like me needed a handsome, rich, mature kind of guy. These boys at school are cute, but they're just boys. They're beneath me. One time I was in a rush and didn't have time to search my locker, so I accidentally took the wrong textbook with me to class. Seeing my mistake, Layla and Susan immediately jumped in. Uh-oh, what's this? We thought Miss Perfection here never messed anything up. I didn't even have a chance to say anything, as this Beth girl spoke up. Hey, cut it out! Who doesn't make mistakes once in a while, huh? Here, you can share mine. Oh, wow. This girl was kinda nice. It was good to have an ally to deal with Layla and Susan. So, at lunchtime, I joined Beth's table. We started chatting, and she was clearly fascinated by how amazing my life was. Great! Now I had a faithful sidekick. Hey, Beth, help me do the homework for today, okay? Again? I have to attend a very important party with my parents tonight. There will be politicians and plutocrats. I won't have time to do homework. Now I have to go home early to get dressed and do my makeup. Bye! I didn't need to turn around to see her funny, bewildered face. She looked like that every time I asked her to do my homework. But it was worth it. Right, Beth? She got to hang out with the hottest prodigy in school. Me! So a little bit of extra homework was a small price to pay for such a privilege. You know, to me, that homework was nothing. I just didn't have time for it. I had to admit that having Beth around was very convenient. She made sure my grades stayed top of the class, leaving me time to play polo, go to the golf club, and attend charity functions with my parents. She also let me borrow her dresses, bags, makeup, and this super cute pair of high heels. My friends admired me, strangers idolized me, my teachers adored me, and I had a wonderful, loyal best friend. Life was perfect. Until one day, as I was shimmying along the hallway, I noticed something odd. People weren't giving me their usual looks of adoration. Instead, they were turning their noses up at me. Huh? What was happening? Hey, Beth, do you know what's going on? People are acting really weird. She just shrugged. I don't know. Let's see. I tried to tell myself that it was no big deal, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. Then later that day, my worst fears were confirmed. As I entered the classroom, Marshall came over to me and waved his phone in my face.
Good game, Miss Perfect. Turns out you're just a big fat liar.
I looked at his phone and saw a long post with a lot of photos attached. There's a big title saying, "The Truth About Mandy the Liar," and each photo came with a caption. Mandy's house is actually very ordinary. She lives with her grandparents. There are no luxurious mansions or wealthy parents. When Mandy just came to the school, she made friends with everyone, bragging about her fame, fortune, and popularity.
I don't know who she is. So what if we just shared the same path to the bus stop? Who said that I intend to get acquainted with her?
Her transcript from her old school isn't even hers. She's just photoshopped her name on it.
Every time she stood up to answer a question or take a test, she cheated, so she got a good grade.
God, all this? How did they know? It felt like my heart had lodged in my throat, and my mind was spinning. My eyes blurred when I saw Layla and Susan approaching me. I stared at them in shock. Mandy, honestly, we don't hate you. It's just that we realized your stories were ridiculous, so we decided to find out the truth. That's right, but you sure did cover your tracks. We couldn't find a thing.
Hang on. So who found these pieces of evidence?
I did! Right at that moment, my so-called best friend appeared, followed by the homeroom teacher. Mandy, I know you think I'm some desperate wannabe you can control, but no! I soon worked out that everything you said was a lie, so I gathered evidence to prove it. Everyone was gawping at me with disappointment. I felt completely overwhelmed by the situation. This couldn't actually be happening. I pinched my arm. Ouch! It was as painful and as real as what was going down before my eyes right now. Beth continued, "It's not good for you to live a lie like this. Who even are you?" Ah! Reality images started flooding into my mind, making my brain feel like it was going to explode. I grabbed my head and ran out of the classroom. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in the hospital. The homeroom teacher was sitting next to me, and my grandparents were also there. They all looked very disappointed.
Mandy, the principal was very angry and was about to expel you. But it was Beth and her friends who convinced him to let you stay.
What? Beth? But she was the one who exposed me. Noticing my surprise, the teacher continued.
After seeing your reaction, Beth realized that perhaps you had a psychological problem, so she convinced us to help bring you to the hospital for diagnosis.
I looked up at my grandparents. They were all in tears. Unexpectedly, I burst out crying. I longed so much to have a dream life full of fame, riches, and admirers that I drew a vision for myself in another reality. I was so absorbed in that illusory scenario that I forgot my own reality. This was last month, and I'm currently on medication for my delusions, and I'm also seeing a therapist. Right now, I'm on my way to see Beth, Layla, Susan, and Marshall. No, I'm not making it up. I really am meeting them. Oh gosh, there they are. This is scary, but it's something I've got to do. So I took a deep breath, then taking my therapist's advice, I spoke from the heart. Hi guys, thanks for coming. Firstly, I want to apologize for lying. The truth is, I've lived the lie so much that I could no longer distinguish what was real and what wasn't. My therapist helped me see that this all began after I lost my parents. Part of my subconscious craved for this dream life so badly that I created a new one. This way I didn't have to accept the truth, which is that my parents have passed away and I live with my dirt poor grandparents. When I finished talking, I looked at them, half expecting them to shout at me or something, but instead, Beth smiled at me and said, "It took a lot of guts to come here and say that." "I'm sorry, too. I shouldn't have outed you like that, but I didn't know you were ill." "Same. I'm proud of you." "Me too."
Me 3. Now, when are we gonna order cake?
So, what now? Well, I'm still taking my medication and talking to my therapist. I can now tell the difference between the make-believe and reality. Also, I'm back at school, and my teachers and classmates have all been really welcoming. Better still, I now have some awesome friends who like me for me. And you know what? It turns out that living in reality isn't actually so bad after all.
Hi, Jared here. I just had a narrow escape from death, as my friend had tried to cut my abdomen open and take things in my belly. You can see that I'm still alive to tell you this story, but honestly, it took time for me to feel all there again. I'm not sure if I'm introverted or extroverted. I love making friends, but I do it much better through social media. As you can see, I was scrolling my newsfeed and dropped likes instead of hanging out on the weekend. That was when a post on my favorite travel page caught my eyes. Some girl raised her point of how stupid and reckless people were, thinking they were cool and somehow better than others to go backpacking solo, and added that they better save money and be more responsible by experiencing package tours. Oh yeah? She's a package tour seller or what? I immediately jumped to comment, which I would never do in real life, telling how short-sighted, childish, cowardliness, and poor she was. Of course, my words hit likes. Then a guy even sent me a friend request and started chatting with me about his same feelings, and right away we hit it off. His name was Travis, a 31-year-old guy living in the Northwest, close to Portland. Pretty soon we were chatting every day. I always found the best secret camping spots in my home of Arizona, and he also shared his tons of experiences of camping, trekking, and solo adventuring. So crazy! This could be a Netflix new series, How I Met My Soulmate. As summer vacation was coming up, Travis invited me to Oregon a number of times, but I still hesitated to put Portland in my summer bucket list. My final summer as a student must be an unforgettable experience. Travis got my mind and said he was organizing a small music festival with some friends up in Portland, and he'd love for me to join. Seeing as I played guitar, I jumped at the chance and said yes, without even thinking about it. Could it get even cooler? Yes! The festival was going to finance my whole journey. It's a hell of a risk. You don't even know this guy. What kind of online friend who pays for your plane ticket and your hotel and even all your food? Is he interested in you in that way? Oh man, my old, boring, skeptical parents could never see the bright side of this world. I'm 17, and I was absolutely not that dumb. When I was walking out of the Portland airport terminal, I could recognize Travis right away. He and the girl he was holding must be his little daughter, Anna. They were both waving at me excitedly, and my heart melted for this cute moment. We greeted each other like we were old friends, and his daughter couldn't stop chatting to me. I instantly felt more at ease. They would make my experience memorable. Along the way to the city, Travis told me a lot about the upcoming festival, and despite my best efforts not to show my naivety, I couldn't control my childish excitement. Wow, Travis, the show's gonna be epic. My parents can finally see how amazing I am. Oh, Anna, are you excited to see your hero daddy burning the stage tomorrow? Right away, I could see her sad eyes. I can't be there. You have an important appointment with your doctor, don't you remember? Travis then turned to me. Anna has kidney disease, so the place is too dangerous for her. Oh, Jared, don't let it affect your mood. Tomorrow will tell if she can have a kidney transplant. Wish you the best, I said. I will play for her tomorrow. Travis dropped me at my hotel and said he'd come back to pick me up at 7 p.m. for dinner. I had the whole day, but not wanting time to rest, I immediately went out to explore. I went straight to the Portland Japanese Garden, which was incredible. Then I went to the Portland Zoo. Afterwards, I popped into the souvenir shop at the zoo and got my parents a gift. I saw a small vase that I knew my mom would love, but as I reached out for it, someone else was going for it too on the other side of the shelf. I looked up and was surprised to see a gorgeous girl standing there. Unfortunately, that vase was one of a kind. How ironic. Yet I still gave it to her because, what can I say? I'm a gentleman. However, once I'd left the shop, she came running after me. Hey, wait, I have something for you. I turned around, and to my surprise, she handed me the vase. I guess you're a tourist, aren't you? Please keep it. I can easily find the other one for me. Aw, what a sweet girl. Really? I can't be more grateful. Would you like to join me for, a coffee? I'd love to. Sorry, but I have to get back to work. Hope you have a great time in Portland. She ran away before I could say goodbye. Wow, Portland locals are the best. Then I thought maybe I'd even go to college in Portland instead of Arizona. I loved it here. After that, I went back to the hotel to get ready. And at 7 p.m. on the dot, Travis picked me up and we went to a buffet restaurant. Before getting our table, Travis asked me if I'd like a drink and said the ginger beer was great. Sure, why not? I said I'd have one of those and he went off to the bar. He was right. It was great. And so was the food. It was delicious. And I must have eaten about 4 platefuls before I suddenly felt a bit sick. Oh, something's not right. I looked down and realized there was a shrimp in one of the salads. Oh no, I had a shrimp allergy. Without saying anything, I jumped up, ran to the toilet, and tried to throw up all the food and ginger beer. I was glad this was a buffet restaurant with unlimited food, so I could have a fresh start. Getting back to the table, I could see Travis was nervously peering over me. I was about to come to him and say I was fine, but suddenly my head was dizzy. I fell onto the floor, and then everything just went black. When I opened my eyes, there was a bright light shining directly onto me. Huh? Where was I? I tried to get up, but realized I couldn't. Oh my God, my limbs were tied to the bed. Was this even called a bed? I looked around, but I couldn't see anyone. That's when I realized I was in some kind of operating room. Although it was too dirty to be a hospital. There were some ancient-looking instruments on a dusty shelf. Everything looked old and rusted. I had to get out of there. I tried to wiggle my feet, but they were tied up too tight. Who had done this? Suddenly, someone walked into the room. It was Travis. Walking behind him were 2 other guys wearing surgical clothes. Travis, what's going on? I'm totally fine, just a normal allergic reaction. Let me out. Travis looked surprised to see me awake. Oh, I thought you'd be out cold for hours. I should have given you more anesthetic in that ginger beer. Then he turned to the doctor-looking guy and said, Chad, give him more anesthetic, would you? Wait, what do you want? You can have all my money and stuff. I won't tell anyone. He started walking toward me with a sinister grin on his face. You shouldn't have woken up yet. Since you've seen us, there's only one way to clean up the mess. He reached out to me with a syringe and I started screaming, Let me go! Let me go! But he was obviously not about to stop. Come on, or you want to see your belly being disemboweled? What? So they were trying to rip open my belly? Gutting me like a fish? I tried to struggle so he couldn't inject. The iron bed was shaking hard. Yes, till my last breath. Suddenly the door burst out and the police rushed in. Was this just a flash before I died? Stop, you're under arrest! Their shouting brought me back to reality. They grabbed Travis and the other 2 doctor guys and handcuffed them, while another untied me. I was taken outside, and they helped me into a police car. My soul hadn't been back to my body yet, but when I looked to my left, I panicked. The girl from the souvenir shop was sitting next to me. Oh my mother, what are you doing here? She put her hand on my arm and said, A horrible night, isn't it? I'm actually an undercover cop, and I've been investigating an organ trafficking line. That guy Travis, who has pretended to be your friend, is actually part of the line. Not everyone was as lucky as you, Jared. So many teenagers has been set up. Then she told me what happened. Turns out she followed Travis and was surprised to see him picking me up and went to the restaurant. She followed Travis when he went to the bar and saw him drop something into my drink. That's when I saw you'd fainted. Everyone gathered around, but Travis said you were just drunk and took you away. I followed him and called the police, she said. Oh no, what the hell was I stuck in? This is insane. I could have lost my kidneys or something. I'd even have died. Yes, we might not have made it without your own strong effort to lengthen the time. But how come you didn't feel the effects of the anesthetic? She asked. I thought back and realized. And oh, I had to laugh. It was the shrimp who saved me. I'd made myself throw up and vomited most of the anesthetic. If it hadn't been for the shrimp, who knows what might have happened. I don't even want to think about it. What a close shave. Not in a million years did I ever think I'd get mixed up in something dangerous like this. This time I will let my skeptical mom and dad say, I told you 1,000,000 times. We have to be careful, especially when it comes to our kidneys. Maybe package tours aren't so bad after all, right?
I was skipping to the kitchen to see the apple bag Dad had prepared for my school picnic. Aw, how thoughtful of him. I excitedly took a bite, but it tasted like it had been left to rot for a decade. I frantically checked the bag and saw this was not the only bad one. Dad! Hey, I'm Doris, and things like this are an everyday occurrence for me. My dad's clumsy and colorblind, two contributing factors that sure make life interesting. Since Mom passed away, I had to watch him like a hawk, else you betcha he'd mess stuff up. One time he roasted a turkey, but it was so raw as if it would jump off the plate and run around the house. And on my last birthday, he got me a pair of mittens with one bright orange and one neon green. I reluctantly tried them on, looking like a clown while people burst out laughing. Despite all that, he's still an awesome dad in my eyes. A super talented artist with incredible artwork, provided he lets me label the paint colors. And also a really big supporter of my dream. From the first time he helped me skate on the lake, I knew it was my life's calling.
If I can be an artist, even though I'm colorblind, how can just a few bumps stop you from being a figure skater?
Bravo! I'll definitely give him a 100. Except that he does have one bonkers rule. No dating until I'm 18. Whatever, it's not like I gave boys much thought. The only boy I spoke to was my neighbor, Ben, and Dad seemed to like him.
That kid's pretty good. He likes drawing, and artists are caring people, just like me. And he seems to not attracted to girls either.
I'm not sure about that, but it's true that we can never be a couple. His mushy manner is definitely not my type. Anyway, it's super fun having him as a friend. Since we were little, Ben always went along with anything I asked, from drawing me a unicorn picture from my room, giving me his only ice pop, to more exciting things, such as knocks and runs, and covering the neighbor's car in toilet paper. And now, he always escorts me to my skating practice a few towns away, and just sits there scribbling something until I finish. This whole month I've been practicing so hard for the upcoming big competition in town. I'm gonna bring a medal home. This is my time to shine. I started gliding, letting the rhythm control my movement. The cold, calming breeze pushed against me like I was flying. It's time for an axel jump. I sprang into the air like a cotton ball, but suddenly lost my balance and fell flat on my face. As a result, I was ranked 29 out of 30. Duh. But surprisingly, there was one judge giving me all high marks. Finally, someone saw my potential. I was beaming when this cute guy approached me.
Hi, I'm Luke. Just wanted to say that you were absolutely on point out there.
Oh, he's that guy.
I really want to get to know you more. How about we hang out together? I'll take you somewhere as special as you are to me.
This is definitely against Dad's rule, but oh boy, his killer smile made my stomach swoosh. So I ended up saying yes. I excitedly told Ben, but he gave me this sour-faced look.
Hey, your dad will not be happy if he knows this.
Just don't let him know. Luke is an expert, so he can help me hone in on my talent. You will keep this a secret, won't you? So here's my first date ever. Luke was so sweet. He complimented my ice skating and constantly gave me these loving looks. Our food arrived and delish!
Bon appetit.
I daintily tried the mashed potato and immediately felt the delicious taste of warm butter and chives and something pointy? A hairpin? I quickly stood up, demanding to see the manager, but Luke stopped me.
Babe, you found the gift I prepared for you.
Then he grabbed the hairpin and wiped it on his shirt and put it on my hair. Maybe this was a normal thing for guys to do on dates, right? Only his gifts show didn't stop there. Later I found a ring in my steak, then a keychain in my salad.
You're cute, just like this Lotso.
Isn't he the bad guy? But the cherries on top were the movie tickets in my sandwich. Luke, what's this about?
I just hope we could bond over watching movies together. You hate it that much?
No, I didn't mean that. Think about it. It was kinda weird, but also the sweetest thing that had ever happened to me. Luke had a funny way of showing it, but he made me feel special and giddy, and maybe in love? Before I could think straight, he was leaning closer to me. I closed my eyes and was ready for the most romantic kiss ever. But why were his lips so hard and unmoving? What? The menu? And holding it was Dad?
You know this crazy old man? I am her father.
Then Dad dragged an extra chair over to our table, plopped down, and started babbling on. Then, when Luke wasn't looking, Dad poured pepper into his coffee. Before I could say anything, poor Luke took a sip and spat it out everywhere.
Sorry, I thought it was sugar. You see, I'm colorblind, so it was an honest mistake.
After that, he accidentally splashed the sauce on Luke's shirt, then grabbed his glass of red wine and poured it over Luke, saying he was trying to clean it. Enough! Your old man is insane! No one will ever date you again. Then he stormed away. I was furious. How could Dad embarrass me like this? You're controlling, crazy, and do the stupidest things. You don't allow me to be me, and you just scared away my date. None of his apologies could move me. I had the right to make my own choices without Dad interrupting and being ridiculous. So I used my savings and moved out of my home to start my new life. This freedom was greater than great. I could talk to any guy and go on as many dates as I wanted. Only, I know there's always were extra eyes on me. Do you get the feeling someone's watching us? No way! It's just you and me. I've had a great time. Do you want to do it again? Ugh! What the fudge? If Dad thinks he can stop me by messing around like this, he's totally wrong. It did quite the opposite instead. I started dating loads of guys, even if I didn't like them that much. It was so nice being spoiled by boys, and my room was always full of their presents. I updated Ben all about my dating stories, but he just frowned. Yo, slow down. You want to speed date the entire town? Man, it's just dating. It's not like I've agreed to be their girlfriend or anything. But you don't even know them, or what their intentions are. My dad doesn't understand me. Why now you sound just like him? Fine, don't feel like you need to come here or give me rides or anything. I can make my own way to school and get my date to come with me to practice from tomorrow. I'm sorry, Doris. Ignore me. I'm probably just overthinking stuff. Yeah, Ben's Ben. He's still the one I could count on after all. Anyway, being a serial dater can cause troubles. I muddled up Gregory's interest with Ivan's, and I forgot I already told Anton my hilarious story the third time already. I was late for my date with Hector because my previous shift with Ryan went on longer than I expected. Ben being so exhausted from all of this dating, I fell asleep during my meal with Christian. Luckily for me, Ben was always there to help. What's up? You look exhausted. I don't know. Dating was fun at first, but now it left me no time to rest, and now I can't even distinguish those guys. Hey, what's so funny?
Nothing. It's just nice not having to share you with an alphabet of guys.
Don't worry, you're the only bee in my life. One day after school, a group of boys surrounded me and started accusing me of being a cheater. Hey, it wasn't like I was anyone's girlfriend, so it wasn't classed as cheating. I'm still single, so I can go on many dates as I can. Only, my outburst seemed to make them even angrier, as all these guys shouted at me. A cop walked over. Hang on, is that Dad?
Hey, you boys stop bothering this young lady right now. I just finished a karate class already. I'll give you a piece of my mind. See? Hi-ya! Hi-ya! What a bunch of weirdos.
Thank God Dad came here on time to save me. But it's such a shame that he saw I was a helpless failure at everything. So my shame became rage. Who asked you to show up and make a scene? Quit bugging me with all of your nonsense. I can handle this myself. When I returned to my apartment, Ben was sitting there waiting for me. Overwhelmed with everything, I burst into tears. He pulled me into an embrace, and I instantly felt better. But then,
Doris, stop with the games and just go home.
Games? This isn't a game. This is my life. I deserve to live it how I want to. You're too much of a coward to ever understand that. As soon as I said it, I regretted it. Ben looked so hurt and mad. He just shook his head and left. I honestly thought he was the one person who would never leave. But whatever, I didn't need him, or Dad either. Now I had to prove to Dad that I was mature enough to handle independence and could find someone much better than Ben beside me. Just wait and see. Told you. Now God bless me with this guy, Mark, a super strong and macho BF who was always ready to protect me.
Babe, look out!
What?
Just let me handle this.
Then he moved me out of the way and punched right to the wall. Wow, that's a mosquito. Thank you for saving me. One time, we were strolling through the school's garden when I spotted Ben. I immediately gave Mark a cute damsel in distress look and said, "Babe, I'm so tired. I think I'm gonna pass out."
Don't worry, I'll take you to the hospital.
Suddenly, he lifted me over his shoulders and carried me off. My head was spinning, and it made me want to faint. Literally. I begged him to put me down and let me sit for a while. Then, I suddenly saw Ben frowning at me. Seeing me totally fine without him, how can he not be annoyed? But who was that? She started staring at his art passionately. Then, can you believe it? She asked him to draw her, and he agreed! I can't stay here watching this ridiculous play. So I grabbed Mark's hand and pulled him away. But that night, I kept tossing and turning, and the image of Ben and that girl couldn't get out of my head. No big deal. They were just super irritating, that's all. Too many things happened, and now it's time for me to focus on my figure skating dreams again. With my sugar plum. As he went off to buy us some drinks, who should come over to me but my first date disaster, Luke?
Oh, you're still ice skating. Just give up already. I only gave you a high score so you date me. Don't flatter yourself. By the way, your crazy old man's still doing good?
Shut up. My dad was right about you, you jerk.
Jerk? Okay, this jerk will tell the rink manager to ban you from coming here for good.
I stared at him, open mouthed, not knowing what to say, when out of nowhere Ben appeared.
I don't think the skating committee would be impressed by your fake scores, do you? All it would take is one email and you can kiss your position on the judging panel goodbye. How dare you!
Then he left in anger. Right at that moment, Mark returned.
Babe, skating sucks. Just quit it. Let's go for some trampoline then. Darce, go practice. No one dares to ban you now. Who the freak are you?
Mark, stop! That's Ben, my friend. No, just an acquaintance.
Darce, watch yourself with that guy.
It's none of your business. Let's go, Mark.
Bye, loser.
The next day at school, I saw Ben with that girl again. My heart thumped in sadness, and I don't even know why. Maybe I was so used to having Ben around me, and honestly, I missed him a lot. Mark soon followed my gaze over to Ben.
Isn't that the dude from the ice rink? Why are you gawping at him?
He was lunging toward Ben right after. I grabbed his arm trying to stop him, but he pulled me away instead to a corner.
You are my girl. Remember that.
In front of me was a total stranger, not the normal Mark I know. He was supposed to protect me, but now all I felt was scared. I couldn't move. Mark leaned over to kiss me, and I immediately blocked him.
What? How dare you?
Oh no, I'm screwed.
Terrorizing your own girlfriend, I see. Nice.
Ben?
Right on time. You're so done with me.
Then Mark grabbed a flower pot and charged at Ben, but I panickedly pushed him over before he could do anything with it. He stumbled about, mumbling something, when Ben's fist came out of nowhere.
You want another punch?
Mark waved his fist at him, but then turned around and hurried off. I stared at Ben. I couldn't believe my eyes. He was strong and protective, totally different from the soft Ben I knew all this time.
Doris, I think it's time for you to go home. Have you ever wondered why your dad really did that?
Ben was right, and the day's drama made me realize how much I missed Dad. I wonder how he was doing. I arrived back to find Dad sitting all alone, dozing off, amid a pile of mess. He was in stained clothes, and on the easel was an unfinished picture of me. With tear-stained eyes, I ran to him and held him tight. I'm so sorry for leaving. I thought I would be okay by myself, but I'm definitely not. I miss you.
You're back. I miss you too, darling.
I felt so bad for upsetting Dad. When I calmed down, we talked through our problems.
Sweetie, I know, it's just hard. You're all I have left. I just worry you're too young to make the right decision and can't bear seeing these idiots hurt you.
But Dad, I need experience to learn and grow too. Support me, will you?
Of course. I always wish you can find a kind man who understands, supports you, and is always by your side, and makes you truly happy.
All those qualities reminded me of someone. I kept chasing after trivial things out there, thus forgetting the one who was standing by me all the time.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm here to tell you how my not-so-small problem changed the course of my life. When it comes to butts, well, there are lots of names for them, such as tush, behind, backside, bottom, and so on. Trust me, I've heard them all, countless times. You see, I have a big butt. In proportion to the rest of me then, well, it's undeniably massive. My mom and dad both have pretty big butts, so combine both of their genes together, and you end up with me. Ever since I was a little kid, strangers passed comments on the size of my butt. I remember being in a grocery store once, innocently looking in the candy aisle, when a woman came up to my mom and said, "Your baby, is she all right? Because her backside seems to be very big." Yeah. Seriously, some people were that rude, and the older I got and the bigger my butt grew, then the worse their comments became. Teenage me, well, I had a hard time. At the time when I hit puberty, my butt became even more enormous, then boys didn't look at my face anymore. Instead, they only seemed to notice my butt. One boy was staring at it so hard that he walked straight into his locker and gave himself a concussion. Then there were the seats at school. I mean, why did they have to be so tiny? I'd rather stand up than try to fit in them. But no choice for me, I had to literally squeeze myself onto it, then do a wiggle routine to get out of it, and in fact, whenever I tried to sit down, someone always pointed and laughed at me. Talk about awkward. This popular girl called Mary always went out of her way to tease me. One day, I was wandering down the hallways when Mary stuck her foot out and tripped me over, and then said, "No one likes you, tushy face." I looked up at her, and that's when I realized I'd had enough. I must do something to stop this. As she triumphantly walked past me, my anger flared up, and for a moment, I lost control. I rushed in and pushed her. The next moment, she fell down the stairs and lay there unconscious. I stood stunned watching her. I hadn't noticed that we were standing near the stairs. Seeing that, her group of mean girls rushed in and started to hit me. I just couldn't do anything but lay on the ground and keep my head. Then, a voice piped up at the back of the crowd. "Leave her alone. It isn't her fault that she has a big bum." It was this girl called Anita. After that, we started hanging out more, both in school and out of it. Having Anita by my side made me feel stronger, and the mean comments about my butt size didn't bother me so much anymore. My life at school got a bit better. Then one day, this rich kid at school was holding a huge senior party at his family mansion. For the first time in a long time, I felt confident enough to go. I arrived at the party wearing my cutest dress. I saw Mary with her large gang of wannabes, but I knew there'd be lots of trouble if she saw me, so I chose to avoid her. Then I spotted Thomas, the most handsome, sweetest guy I knew. I'd pretty much had a crush on him since preschool, but I'd always been too self-conscious to tell him about it. "Go and talk to him." Anita gave me a gentle nudge forward. "Go on, before Mary gets to him first." My nerves took over, so I said to her, "But what if he isn't interested?" She rolled her eyes at me. "Not gonna happen. Now go." He seemed happy to see me, and we both hung out and drank a lot. Then we snuck off upstairs to the master room. We sat on the bed, and he looked at me, like, really looked at me, then said,
"I really like you, Sarah, and I think you're the most beautiful girl in school."
I blushed. This was the sweetest thing a boy had ever said to me. Then he leaned in and kissed me. OMG, talk about amazing! We were passionately kissing when the door burst open and someone shouted, "Why are you with her?" It was a furious-looking Mary. She continued yelling at us both and even tried to hit me, but Thomas protected me. Then he took my hand and led me out of the room. Mary continued to shout mean comments at me, but I didn't care. Thomas liked me, and she just needed to deal with it. A week later, Thomas asked me out, and I said yes. Being his girlfriend was the best thing ever, as he made me feel so special. Suddenly, having a big butt didn't seem to matter. In fact, Thomas said it only added to my beauty. Then one day at school, I was sitting in class when an announcement came over the speaker. "Sarah Montgomery, please report to the principal's office right away." The principal said that Mary's parents had reported the fight between me and Mary, and I was the one who started it first. So I was expelled. I was so mad that I didn't even bother clearing up my locker. Instead, I just stormed out of there. I ended up at a different school, and I tried my best to focus on my studies. I wanted to go to college and study drama, as I loved acting, and believed my unique body shape would be a big selling point in the industry. Thomas and I continued to date. He always supported me and made me feel like I was capable of doing anything. I didn't see much of Anita anymore, but we kept in touch. One day, I was studying in a cafe when a man came over to me, passed me his business card, and told me that with a butt like mine, I could make serious money modeling. So that's how I became a photo model. Turns out the man hadn't been lying about the money. Okay, so I wasn't an actress yet, but I earned loads. Finally, the part of my body I was so ashamed of made me super successful. I paid off all my college fees and gave my parents back all the money I'd loaned off them. A few months later, I was on a date with Thomas, and in the middle of dinner, he bent on one knee and pulled out a ring and said,
"Sarah, will you marry me and make me the happiest man alive?"
Overcome with joy, I shouted out, "Yes, yes, yes, I will marry you!" Finally, the day of our wedding arrived, and I was so excited. After everything I'd been through, I was finally going to marry my charming prince. I had the most amazing fairy tale dress and the perfect castle venue. Better still, Anita was there as my maid of honor. As I was dancing, I saw Jack, who was my drop-dead gorgeous cousin, and he just came to join my wedding party. Anita had always been looking to meet him. I was so excited and decided that tonight was the perfect time for Anita to get access to him. I went looking for her, but she wasn't on the dance floor or by the bar, so I searched upstairs. I was about to open one of the doors when I heard a male voice coming from within.
I'll try and get some money off her. Just give me a few weeks, okay?
Then I heard a girl's voice say, "But honey, we need the money now, and I don't like Sarah. She's more butt than person." Then the guy said,
You know I don't love her. I only love you.
I looked through the crack in the door and saw the two of them kissing. Then I registered who they both were. It was Thomas and Anita. My new husband was kissing my best friend on our wedding day. Angrily, I ran into the room and threw my shoe at Thomas's head. Unfortunately, he ducked in time. Seeing me, Anita was extremely terrified and immediately ran out of the room, leaving just me and Thomas there. I shouted at him, "You're a jerk! Anything to say, huh?" Thomas looked at me in panic and confessed to me all. So Thomas told me how he'd liked me back in school, but over time, his feelings for me changed, and he found himself falling for Anita. He was going to break up with me, but then I ended up being successful. Seeing as he'd been the one supporting me, he thought it was only fair that he got a share of my money. So him and Anita constructed this whole wedding plan to take half of my money. I was so shocked. I had to sit on the ground. My heart felt like it was shattering in my chest. Then I opened my mouth and screamed at the top of my voice. I ran out of that place crying, and the wedding was canceled. I'm not gonna lie, it's been hard. Being betrayed by the man I loved and my best friend was painful. I shed a lot of tears over them, but I refused to shed any more. Turns out, Thomas wasn't the man for me, but I believe that my perfect man is out there somewhere. My backside may be exceptionally large, but I'm still a real person with real feelings. I only wish the world was more understanding, but for now, I'm using my butt to progress in my career, and I have a feeling I'm gonna be just fine. Always be you, and never let anyone take away your shine. If you try so hard to fit in and be normal, then you'll never find out how truly amazing you are and how you were born to stand out.
Hi, everyone. Have you ever had someone get revenge on you? It's not fun, right? Well, this is my story about revenge, but with a twist. You won't believe who my prankster turned out to be. Oh, let me introduce myself. I'm Audrey, and I'm 24. To say I've had an unhappy life would be an understatement. Firstly, my dad ditched my mom for another woman. And not long after that, my mom passed away from a serious illness. Basically, my entire life fell apart in a matter of months, and I was still too young at that time. It was tough growing up, and I always think that my life could never turn the page again. But on one fine day, someone popped into my life and changed everything. His name was Jim, and he was 7 years older than me, and he seriously turned my life around. He lived in another city, but he often came to my city on business trips. We fell for each other quickly. That happiness didn't last long, though. One day I was working in the clothes store when a girl around the same age as me came in. She wanted my help to choose some dress, but she was pretty rude to me, and I kept catching her staring at me with evil eyes. Who was she? And why was she treating me like that? Finally, after about 2 hours, she made up her mind and picked up only a tie that she wanted to buy for her husband instead. I was relieved to get rid of her, but shocked when I saw the name on her credit card. Jim Stewart. Her husband had the exact same name as my boyfriend. What a coincidence. She must have caught me staring at the card because she suddenly said, "Yes, Jim is my husband. Now stay away from him." What? Her husband? My Jim. Before I even had a chance to react, she turned to everyone in the store and said, "This girl is a gold digger, and she's trying to break up my marriage." I was shocked. I tried to explain that it wasn't true, but she wouldn't listen to me. She just stormed out, and I was left standing there hearing people whispering about me. It was the most humiliating moment of my life. I immediately ran to the staff room and called Jim. I was really hoping it had all been a big misunderstanding, but I could tell from Jim's tone that it was the truth. He told me he'd lied to me, and that he actually lived in the same city. He just made up the business trip stuff so he wouldn't have to see me often. Then he said, "Audrey, I honestly love you. I'm serious about us." Hang on, was he for real? It was ridiculous. I was disgusted by him. How could he treat me like that? I hung up and felt horrified. It brought back horrible memories of the woman who stole my dad away from my mom. I didn't want to be that woman. The next day, I moved out of the house Jim had rented for me. I didn't want to be associated with that loser anymore. But life works in mysterious ways. The day I moved into my new house, I saw Jim's wife, and you won't believe it. It seemed that she'd just moved in next door too. Was this some kind of joke? As soon as she saw me, she smirked and said, "Wow, what a coincidence. Hello, neighbor. I'm Linda." Seeing her unpacking her stuff all by herself, I couldn't help but wonder where Jim was. But then I thought maybe Linda had ended things with him and had moved here alone. I hope so anyways. I'd hate to have Jim as a neighbor. So that's when my new life began. And it has been crazy ever since. From that first week of living there, Linda started pranking me. It all began with her throwing trash into my yard. I even caught her doing it, and she just grinned and said, "Oops, my hand slipped." Then she walked away laughing. It made me furious. And that was just the beginning. One weekend, a delivery guy rocked up on my porch with 10 extra large pizzas. I tried to explain I hadn't ordered them, and that's when Linda appeared at my door and said, "Oh, thanks for ordering me dinner, Audrey. I'm starving." Then she grabbed 5 of the pizzas and ran to her house, leaving me there with a bill of $100. Jeez, it was so annoying, and I had no option but to pay. Linda was too much. Seriously. As much as her pranks drove me up the wall, I also felt sorry for her. I knew what it was like to have someone you love stolen away from you. She must have hated me so much for ruining her marriage, even though it hadn't been my fault. I decided to just put up with her pranks. She'd get over it eventually, and it's not like they were harming me, right? Well, one night I heard the doorbell. I wasn't expecting anyone and was surprised to see a young guy standing there with a poster that said, "I agree to be your boyfriend. Come out with me." I was totally puzzled and told him he had the wrong house, but then he showed me the address on the other side. It was my address. What on earth? I told him I wasn't interested, but he tried to grab my hand and said, "Come on, girl, don't be shy." I told him if he didn't leave me alone, I'd call the police. So luckily he ran away. Needless to ask, I knew for sure that was Linda's joke. But this time she had taken it too far. I decided to go over and have a word with her once and for all. As I was walking to her house, I saw someone familiar on the other side of the road. I couldn't believe it. It was my dad? So many years had passed, and he'd completely changed, but there was no doubt it was him. I suddenly blurted out, "Dad?" But I didn't know what to do next. I was just thinking about my next move when I felt someone behind me. I turned around and saw Linda. She just smirked at me and walked away. What was her problem? Did she hear what I just said? I was so shocked at seeing my dad, I ran back into my house. I hated him for what he'd done to my mom. But he was still my dad, and I wanted to know if he was okay and what he was doing here. I barely slept that night as I couldn't stop thinking about my dad. The next morning, I was sitting by the window when he appeared again. This time, he was with Linda, and she was holding his arm. What was she doing with my dad? Why were they so close? Later that day, I saw him again, and this time, he and Linda were hugging. OMG, were they dating? Maybe Linda had heard me call him dad, and now she was flirting with him to truly get revenge on me. This was too much. The thought of Linda as a stepmom made me want to puke. I waited and waited, but he was inside her house and there was no sign of him leaving. Eventually he left, and as soon as he was in his car, I ran over to her house. I was shaking as I knocked on the door, and as Linda opened it, I said, "You are way too much. Can you just stop with the revenge already?" Linda looked confused and said, "What the heck are you talking about?" Linda still didn't seem to get it, and I was about to explain when I heard footsteps. I turned around and my dad was right there. He said, "What's the matter, Linda? Why are you fighting with this stranger?" Huh? Stranger? Didn't he recognize me? Then Linda butted in and said, "It's okay, Dad. We're just having a misunderstanding here." What? Dad? Is he your dad? Really? I stammered, Yeah, why? What's the matter? She said. Linda, you don't need to lie to me. I know you're dating my dad to get revenge on me, I continued. Whoa, hold on. What do you mean your dad? Linda gasped. At that, my dad looked confused too, and walked to me and asked if he could look at my hand. After seeing my birthmark, he started crying and hugging me. Audrey, it's you. It's really you. I didn't know how to react, so I just let him hug me. It had been so long since anyone had held me like this. Ever since my mom had died, I'd tried to be strong and keep it together, but suddenly I couldn't hold back anymore. I burst into tears in his arms. We stood like that for a long time, and eventually he took me into Linda's house and told me the story. It turned out, after he left me and my mom, he got tricked by that woman, and he was so ashamed, he decided to move to another city and start over. He was working hard on a construction site one day when he got injured, so he ended up in hospital. And that's when he met Linda. She'd been in a car accident and needed a blood transfusion urgently. She has a pretty rare blood type, but luckily my dad had the same type and he volunteered to give her a transfusion. After that, they became quite close, and seeing as Linda had lost both her parents in the car accident, my dad eventually adopted her. I couldn't believe it. My dad had been through so much, and this whole time, I thought he was off living his life with a rich woman. I felt so bad for him and decided to leave the past behind and forgive him. As for Linda, she was also left confused by this coincidence, so she left the room to process everything, while I and Dad took time to catch up on our lives. Later, Linda prepared dinner for us three, and before we digged in, she shyly grabbed my hand and said, Audrey, I've been so awful to you. I'm sorry. I know you aren't the one responsible for my divorce, but I still felt upset, and that's why I played all those pranks. That was so childish, right? Please forgive me, sister. We laughed it off, then hugged each other to make peace. I couldn't believe it. After all these years of being lonely, suddenly I had a sister, and my dad was back. My life had finally turned a corner, and I almost laughed at the thought that it was all because of meeting Jim. At least one good thing had come out of that disastrous relationship.
Hey, I'm Anita. I'm 15, and I have a disease called CIP, which stands for Congenital Insensitivity to Pain. This means that I don't feel pain like you do. In fact, I've never been in pain, and I have no idea what it feels like. This is an extremely rare hereditary disease. My great-grandpa had it, and it skipped a few generations before it was passed down to me. I know you're probably thinking that feeling no pain sounds great, but I can assure you that it isn't as good as it sounds. We are meant to feel pain for a reason. It's there to warn us when something is wrong, whether it be a toothache, a fever, or when a substance is too hot. I've never been able to run a bath by myself. My mom has to run it for me and check the temperature. It also means that when I'm in the bath, I can't refill it with hot water in case I burn myself. I can feel hot and cold, but I have no idea what a burn feels like, or what being so cold your toes hurt feels like. I also have to cut up my food and let it cool down for 5 minutes before I eat it, so I don't burn my mouth. I don't even bother with hot drinks. I just stick to drinking juice. I watch my friends with curiosity when they accidentally hurt themselves. I just find their in-pain expressions so odd. My mom shut her finger in the trunk of the car and screamed before she walked off shaking her hand for at least 10 minutes. If I shut my finger in the trunk, I wouldn't even flinch, which is bad because it means I could cause myself more of an injury. My great-grandpa, the one who also had CIP, died at the age of 40 from heart disease. He didn't have any symptoms because of his CIP, so he had no warning signs that he was seriously ill. My parents are terrified that I will end up ill too and not realize it. They make me go to the doctors for a monthly checkup. There is no definite cure for CIP, although there are some experimental treatments out there. My parents have refused these, as they don't want me to end up feeling like a lab rat. They say it's up to me to decide if I want to try any when I reach 18. I have scars on my arm from when I was in a restaurant and spilt a boiling mug of tea on it, but because I didn't feel pain, I didn't flinch or put it under cold water. I once fell off a climbing frame and twisted my ankle, but continued to walk on it for the rest of the day. That evening, my mom saw my ankle was swollen and took me to the hospital.
Turns out I'd badly sprained it and caused myself more injury by walking around on it all day. I was on crutches for weeks. I'm not allowed to take part in any sports for fear of hurting myself, and I don't use the cooker or the kettle. My mom has to tell me if I need to put sun lotion on or to wear a jacket. If it's really sunny, my mom doesn't let me go out at midday as she's worried I'll end up badly sunburned. Even though I wasn't meant to play sports, once at lunchtime, I joined in with my friends and played basketball. A boy tried to take the ball off me, and I was shoved hard onto the ground. He was staring at me open-mouthed, and some of the other kids were gasping at me. I looked down at my arm. It had popped out of its socket and was hanging there limp. I hadn't even realized. The boy walked with me to the nurse's room, and I sat down on the metal frame bed all smiles. At least, that was until my body went into meltdown and I fainted. I woke up 3 hours later in hospital with my arm in a bandage. Needless to say, my parents were furious with me. When I was younger, some kids used to poke and hit me to see if I would flinch. I used to be covered in marks and bruises, and my parents were horrified. They complained to my teacher, who gave the entire school a lecture about the dangers of my condition and how their actions could have put me in hospital. Now that I'm older, I find that most kids try and steer well away from me in fear of accidentally harming me, especially since the arm popping incident. It makes me feel sad, but there's nothing I can do about it. My friend Kayla says I'm like a real-life superhero. I don't think I have a very good power at all. I'd much rather be able to have super speed or turn invisible. I do worry about my future. I hope I don't end up ill and not realize it like my great-grandpa. My condition makes my life difficult at times, but I'm not going to let it get in my way. I may not be a superhero, but I am me, and I will try my best to protect myself from injuries and have a normal life. Thanks for listening to my story. Like this post if you believe that we have to make the most of our lives regardless of the obstacles we have to face. Please leave a comment with your thoughts on my story. I'd love to hear them. Hey, my name's Camilla. So, there's something bad I did. I'm now super ashamed of it. Anyway, I'm a different person now, and I'm telling you guys this so you hopefully won't make the same mistake I did. I was the popular girl in high school, along with my best friend, Lisa. Both of us were pretty well liked, but the other kids seemed to like me more than her. I guess she knew this, and it meant we low-key competed against each other on everything, from wearing the cutest outfits to getting the hottest boys' attention. I suppose it kinda made us frenemies. So prom was only a few weeks away, and I had the prom queen crown in my reach. But then I heard a few lame rumors circulating about me, such as how I'd kissed Rita Stone's boyfriend behind the bike shed, and how I'd been the one writing the really mean comments about the other girl on the bathroom cubicle wall. I tried to shrug these ridiculous rumors off, but it seemed like everyone else believed them. Worse still, I had this inkling that Lisa, who was sickeningly sweet to my face, had something to do with the rumors. After all, I know how eager she was to be prom queen. Things went on for a few days. Everyone whispered and pointed at me as I walked by. I was so mad, especially as Lisa continued enjoying life and pretending to pity me. I'd had enough. So that day during lunch break, I stomped straight towards her in the cafeteria. We had a huge fight, yelled at each other. I then threw my carton of milk at her, then carried my lunchbox to another table in the corner. I was sitting there alone, crying, when someone tapped on my shoulder. It was Aubrey, asking me to join her table. Aubrey and I go way back, as she was my old childhood friend. But ever since middle school, she's a bit of a loser, so I hadn't spoken to her in a while. I agreed, and followed her to another table in tears. Her group of friends are a bunch of nerds, and I've probably teased some of them before. Awkward. As I sat down, I noticed this one guy, Scott, who was also kinda out of place. He's too good looking for this table. He made hanging out with the losers so much easier. As we all were chatting, I've already thought about how me and Scott would make such a cute couple, and we could rule this group. Of course, I was still so mad with Lisa, so I came up with a plan to get my revenge. I asked the nerd crew of Aubrey to help me ruin the prom. If I couldn't be prom queen, then I wanted to destroy it so Lisa couldn't have it either. I convinced them by going on and on about how they should stand up for themselves and defeat the popular mean girl, Lisa. As her latest victim, I guess I've delivered a pretty inspirational speech that got them all hyped up to join me. The nerd crew's smart, so it'd be easy for them to mess up the electrical system at prom, switch the music playlist to something funny, ruin the drinks, pour down a bucket of water on the winners as they announce prom king and queen on stage. While preparing for the big day, I hung out with them more and more, and I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty fun, and I kinda liked them. They didn't do the whole fake friendship thing like I'd had to endure with Lisa, and it made life so much easier. Along with my revenge plan, I also had another operation going. Scott. Remember? I decided to make a move and flirt with him every time we met. I saw Aubrey secretly peek at him from time to time, so I once jokingly asked her if she liked him, and she blushed and blurted out a tiny, "Yes." Poor Aubrey, as he was way out of her league. One day, I asked Scott to accompany me to go buy some stuff for our prank. While we were in the car, I asked him why he joined the group, as they're all losers. And he said it's actually because he liked Aubrey, so hanging out with this group meant he could spend more time with her. Plus, the others were actually fun too. I got a little mad that he actually liked her, so I told him, "Such a pity, but you're not Aubrey's type, as she's into girls." I reached across and touched his arm, and then told him that if we dated, we'd be the hottest couple. I'd be the most popular girl again, and he too would have the fame he deserved. Forget those nerds, as they were dragging us both down. He stayed calm and told me to stop, but I kept flirting with him until he dropped me off at my house. Finally, the big day came, and I arrived late to prom because I only wanted to see the grand finale of Lisa being soaked on stage. As I walked into the venue, I expected it to be a mess. Flickering lights, lame music, and people complaining about the drinks. But everything looked fine. I didn't get it. So I found one of the nerds and asked them how the plan's going. But he just shrugged and danced away. I was a bit furious. But then it was prom queen announcing time, which, unsurprisingly, Lisa won. I excitedly waited for the humiliating water shower to follow. But it didn't happen. What was going on? We'd had our group meeting yesterday to make sure everything was ready. I was so mad. I screamed at a guy from the nerd group, and he said maybe I should check it myself. I then got on stage to check when everyone was starting to leave. But then, as I looked up, the water bucket fell on me! I screamed so loud, everyone froze and turned around looking at me. I stood there soaked and humiliated in front of the entire school! Then, out of nowhere, the whole group of nerds, including Aubrey, gathered in front of me and said that I deserved this. It turned out Aubrey and Scott have been dating for a while now, and he had told her everything I'd said. Aubrey said she'd given me a second chance to be in her life again, and I hadn't changed at all, and that I was still the same selfish girl. Now, I'm in college, and these days, I'm a much nicer person. It was all in the past. I've apologized to Aubrey, but I am still ashamed when I think about it. I hope you learn a lesson from my mistake and don't mess up like I did. Being popular's great and all, but I now know that some things are far more important.
How long is this gonna take? So much for taking care of me. Lex, starting today, I'm locking your phone and laptop away. Cruel! Isn't one leg cast enough punishment? Excuse me? You don't deserve to have a say in this. If you hadn't bought our daughter that death trap motorbike in the first place, she'd still be intact. Yeah, sorry for making sure she doesn't grow up boring like her mom. Yeah. Another lecture on how irresponsible I was eventually turned into a quarrel between mom and dad instead. They stopped only when mom needed to leave for her business trip in Egypt. I'm done arguing with you. I have a flight to catch. I've got my eye on you, young lady. All the way from Egypt? That's kinda hard. Well, at least dad's here, so I won't be by myself. The next morning, I woke up to see a note stuck to the fridge. Alex, I'm shooting my new movie in Spain for a few months. There is a strict no-phone policy to avoid leaks. So if it isn't urgent, don't call me. Love, Dad. Seriously? Choosing work over me? Why am I still surprised? That's when you have a world-famous actor dad and an award-winning photographer mom. They're rarely home, and whenever they are, they're constantly at each other's throats. All the more reason for me to hang out with my biker gang. I love motorcycles. They're my only getaway. But that's how I messed up my leg. In my defense, I could totally nail that trick and win their stupid bet if it wasn't for that bumpy road. However, not a single one of my homies has checked on me since then. Not even my boyfriend Blake. But what's really bumming me out is that school's out for summer, yet I can hardly move. So, bored out of my mind, I came up with a new way to entertain myself, which was playing candid camera on this whole suburbia. Thanks to my mom's camera, I had eyes on the newlyweds Cunninghams on the right, the Carpenters on the left, a few other houses, and, tiny Timmy across the street. I swear to God, I almost thought some hunky guy had just moved in. My childhood friend Tiny Timmy had officially grown into Timothy. He looked just like a muscular version of Timothy Chalamet. Then Tim suddenly sat up and we accidentally made eye contact. Awkward. Looking good, handsome? He's even cuter when he smiles. Oh, he's replying. Even better up close. That's bold, Timmy. Too bad, though. Sorry, lame. Tim looks confused at first. Then when he saw my cast, he immediately leaves the room. Huh? A broken leg is enough to scare him off? He's lame. Then the doorbell rang. Hey, that took a while. You're here? Of course, you need to have a closer look, and could use a hand. Or a leg. Yeah, come help this damsel in distress. From then on, Tim came over every day to help me out around the house. He'd been really helpful and even tried riding my motorcycle so it didn't have to sit idle for too long. Other than that bulked up body, he's still the friend I knew back in the day. We still had so much fun playing video games and watching movies together. You have to watch Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. It's nuts. Actually, I thought you might be into Lady Bird. Such a heartwarming coming-of-age story. Ew, no way. Timothy Chalamet is in it. Okay, sold. But how do you know that it'd sway me? I just do. Like how I know you spy on me from time to time, which, by the way, is super creepy. Yeah, right. As if he didn't intentionally leave his blinds open while working out. Mr. Shy Guy. One day, as usual, me and Tim were hanging out, when suddenly my dear boyfriend Blake made a noisy entrance. Babe, you won't believe this. There's a racing tournament going on in the Upper West Side. You have to come. What's going on here? Sup? What do you mean, sup? Who's this little brat? Oh, this is Tim. Tim, this is Blake. Say hi. Hi. I don't care. What do you think you're doing? Watch your tongue. You've been ignoring me for weeks, and now you show up raving on about some dumb street racing contest? You don't even remember that I broke my leg, do you? But, you're mine! Blake was fuming like a bull ready for battle and about to throw hands at Tim, but he stopped his fist midair. A defeated-looking Blake fled off as soon as he got out of Tim's grip. Coward. I apologized to Tim for dragging him into this mess, and he was surprisingly cool about it. Just curious, how did Blake and you become a thing? He's the leader of the biker gang, so I thought he was cool, but honestly, I never expected our relationship to last. Just like every other couple's. Exhibit A, my parents. I see. My dad's a good example as well. Then Tim revealed that his dad left his mom for another woman last year, which really upset him. I could relate so much to his situation. Maybe being locked up at home wasn't so bad after all, since we had the chance to catch up on everything. But the following morning, when I was chilling in my room, something horrible caught my eye. Something blonde. It looked like she was returning a hoodie to Tim. What kind of friend borrows a hoodie and acts like that around each other? Let's see what he has to say for himself. Who's that blonde? What was she doing at your place today? What? Who? She might look like strawberry shortcake, but don't be fooled. Whatever love you two might think you have will soon fade. That sweetness will turn sour in no time. Tim just burst out laughing. What's so funny? What made you think so? You don't even know Annabelle. Don't believe me? See for yourself. I then showed him all of the secrets I'd uncovered in our seemingly quiet neighborhood. First off, the couple from number 9 were both having affairs. The daughter from number 11 was using her boyfriend to hide her real relationship with another girl. And last but not least, the Carpenters, who seemed like suburban couples goal, actually had a far from blissful life due to Mr. Carpenter's drinking problem. In conclusion, there's no such thing as real love. I see your point, but on the other side of the spectrum, genuine love does exist. Tim points the camera towards the Cunninghams. I'm not buying their poster couple act. Then, one day, Tim said he had to work overtime at the library to prepare for an event with, you guessed it, Annabelle only. I had to hide my anger as I watched him drive off with Blondie. With nothing else to do, I decided to watch the Cunninghams. Geez, how could they seem so lovey-dovey all the time? I wanted to take my mind off of Tim, but the more I observed them, the more I thought about him with that Barbie. That's when I saw a book that Tim borrowed for me from the library. Looks like it's time to return it. I Ubered there, but there are many people here as well. Why did Tim say that the two of them would be here alone? Tim's face turned into the scream when he saw me. Didn't think I could get this far? Hi, don't mind me. I'm just here to return this. You should have just given it to me. Oh god, no. I can see that you're busy with Annabelle, isn't it? Yeah. How do you know my name? Oh, let's see. You remind me of that creepy doll who's also an absolute nightmare. Tim then immediately dragged me away. See? He's caring for me, not you, Annie. However, the fun was interrupted right away when I saw Blake outside. Time for you to pay. Tim immediately stood between Blake and me, but to our surprise, Blake signaled for his goons hiding close by to show themselves. Clearly outnumbered, I tried to stop the situation from getting worse. Let's be civilized here. We can sort this out without violence. You're right, babe. We can settle this with a bet. Whoever can do the trick that broke Lex's leg and top it off with the Akira slide can have her fair and square. The loser has to back down. First of all, I'm not some kind of trophy. Second of all, that stunt is incredibly dangerous. Right, Tim? Sounds worth it, though. Have both of you lost your minds? Tim went first, and even though he flunked it, he managed to land without a scratch, while Blake landed on his face. Of course, that fiasco got the whole gang so embarrassed, they scrammed immediately. But I was still so annoyed. Congratulations, you won absolutely nothing. Not that I didn't care about him, I just couldn't stand his recklessness anymore. The next day, I was woken up by a doorbell. So, what are you here for? Sorry about last night, but if you stayed longer, I could have told you that I did what I did because I like you. Romantic styles. I don't even remember since when, but I do remember how sad I was when we stopped hanging out. Believe it or not, I started working out just to impress you. Whoa, what? Tim explained that nothing was going on between Annabelle and him. They were simply co-workers. And he made up that whole thing about being alone with her at the library to see my reaction. What do you say? I can make you believe in love. Tim, don't be ridiculous. Love isn't anything like the movies. It's merely a temporary chemical reaction in your brain that makes you think you're really feeling it. Come on, just give it a chance. No, look at my parents, your father, all the families in this neighborhood. If you ask me, your feelings for me right now will fade, just like mine with Blake. I'm sorry for wasting your time. I thought I was special enough for you to take a leap of faith. Now I know how wrong I was. He then left without another word. When Tim closed his blinds, honestly, I felt a sting in my chest. This is for the best, right? I can't deny the uneasiness I felt without Tim. It's not that he didn't want us to make up. I just didn't know how. Seeing how happy and smiley he was with her, my uneasy feeling only grew bigger. Is this what they call love? No. It's not real. Happy-looking families are not actually happy, and the Cunninghams are just good at faking it. What's that I'm hearing? Are they fighting? I saw the husband suddenly punch the wall with rage, then push the wife. I no longer had eyes on them, but could hear a huge commotion over there. What on earth is going on? Panicked, I called the cops right away. Wait a second, that means their happy marriage really was fake. I excitedly limped across the street to tell Tim about my discovery, then dragged him over to the Cunninghams' front lawn. However, when the cops arrived, both of them answered the door perfectly fine. Turns out they already knew about my spying and were so annoyed by it, they decided to pull a prank on me. Great. My curious neighbors have also witnessed this whole humiliating ordeal. But the worst part was seeing the disappointment on Tim's face. You have to stop being so stubborn. Not every family is like yours. I couldn't say a word, not even when the cops gave me a warning. That night, I tossed and turned as Tim's words wiggled around my mind. Suddenly, something caught my attention. It's from Tim's house. Some flashlights were moving around. I tried calling Tim, but he didn't answer. Of course, he'd be in deep sleep by now. Calling the cops was useless because of that very recent embarrassing incident. That's it. I'm doing it myself. Out there on Tim's front lawn, my heart was beating like crazy. Thieves! Thieves! The startled thieves turned around, so I blared the air horn, then shouted, "Freeze! Stay where you are! Hands over your heads!" But obviously, I, a teenager with one working leg, never actually expected any criminal to stand still. They quickly got a hold of me, and right when I thought my life was over, "Get away from her!" Tim! Thank goodness! Other neighbors also came and stopped the thieves. Tim called the cops, and this time they reported to the scene ASAP. Phew, that was insane. Mrs. Jones, Tim's mom, thanked me and invited me to stay the night. It's really nice of her, even though she burst out laughing when I explained the situation with the Cunninghams. When Tim went to grab some drinks for us, she asked me why I was alone in this condition. So I spilled everything about my family. Contrary to her reaction just now, she showed me sympathy. From her experience, love didn't always have a happy ending, but it doesn't mean it's not real. Tim's dad and I had genuine feelings for each other. It's just that over time, things changed. We're open to accept this and be honest with each other. That's what real love is. I wouldn't change a thing, and I would still fall crazily in love with him, despite knowing we would eventually break up. Because that's how I got Tim, the second real love of my life. Her words hit different. Maybe I'd given love a bad name. You're right, love is not at fault, and Tim is so lucky to have a loving mom like you. Meanwhile, my parents don't just hate each other, they put it all on me too. Bet you, even tonight's incident won't make them care. I see where you're coming from, but why don't you just give it a try? Their reactions might surprise you. So, I called them up, and guess what? They both sounded concerned on the phone and said they'd come home as soon as they could. See, I told you so. It's alright now. Timmy, please show Lex where she'll be sleeping. That was really brave of you. Being all heroic out there despite your whole situation. I wouldn't have risked my life if it wasn't for what? I'm all ears. For you. I'm sorry I overreacted. The thought of becoming a boring old couple who hate each other bugged me. But then I realized if we were together, we wouldn't have to be that. We could be like the Cunninghams. That doesn't sound too bad now, does it? I guess not. Next morning, I woke up to my parents' call. They actually kept their promise this time. My mom explained that she thought Dad was home to take care of me, while Dad absent-mindedly assumed Mom only left in a fit of anger and was going to return soon. So they really do care about me. They just have a terrible way of showing it. They stayed together, thinking it would be best for me. But the unending tension and bickering was eating us all up from the inside. This incident opened their eyes, so they agreed to have a peaceful divorce while still looking after me together. I'm finally free from the cast, but I actually feel even more liberated than before. Is this the power of my newfound belief in love? Is it because I've realized that love was around me all along? I'm not sure myself, but who cares? Alex and Timothy signing off.